The world is changing so rapidly that what they teach you in school is out of date long before you graduate. It might have been outdated before you started. When you graduate, you are in debt, but still not equipped to succeed in today's job market because the lessons you've been taught are no longer practical. Your future success will not be based on outdated concepts or theories that don't address today's ever-changing business climate. It will all come in the form of effective, easy to understand, and thorough online educational content, which can be absorbed anywhere and at any time. You don't have the luxury of being able to try and fail, repeating over and over and over again until you find some success. You need answers that is a basic human right, and you can use it to build any career that you desire. I celebrated a personal dream of mine recently. A global community of more than 1 million students across the world have taken my #1 ranked business courses online. Knowledge opens doors. Education is the key. That is why I've decided to host a very special live web class in order to set you up to reach your career, the most important skills that you need for every workplace that nobody teaches you. Also, I'll teach you management characteristics that you can use to build winning teams for any business of any size. And I'll teach you a specific approach to investing to make sure you retire with as much money as you will have 100% clarity about where to focus your efforts to achieve your greatest return. You will have the exact steps that you need to achieve business and career success. I will give you the exact approach to take to budgeting, investing, and portfolio management during the class. I know you're interested. I get questions in every video about this sort of thing. Now, I want you to be able to finally break free from feeling uninspired, underappreciated, and underpaid. So meet me on this date here for this very special live web class. Everybody attending will receive a gift just for showing up. And you'll experience the learning, the interaction, and most importantly, the fun. Trust me, you don't want to miss this awesome event. Sign up right now, and I can't wait to see you there. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to our 129th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is this is an AMA, meaning ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, personal questions, career questions, and the call ends in 3 hours. And within an hour and a half of the call being completed, my amazing team, what they do is they go into the description field of the YouTube video you're watching, and they add all the questions with clickable answers. So you can click on the time code, I should say, to get the answer automatically. Without further ado, let's be in and thank you. Now, I changed a couple things here on the webcast. I'm trying to push the goalpost out, so to speak. I'm playing around with what are called DMX lights. And DMX is a way for you to daisy chain lights together so that you can change a lot of things in the background. So I've got a bunch of pedals here set up, and so I'm changing the lights here. These are the ones that DJs use, apparently, at concerts, etc. And so I can do it with my pedals here, or what I can do is I can actually change it with my mouse up here as well. So I'm brand new to this whole DMX lighting thing. It's a lot of fun for me. I'm excited. And we're also going to be adding a lot more multimedia capabilities to this webcast going forward, including robotic cameras and everything, so that it really looks and feels like a professional sort of television studio. Okay, great. Okay. All right, first question I've got here is from, Manas. Wow, late last night. Thanks for coming, Manas. I appreciate that. And Manas, I think you sent me a LinkedIn message this morning. I don't read all my messages, so if you want, ask me here, please. Thanks, buddy. All right, first up, we got Vendel, who's saying, hey, Chris, I'm 17 years old, and I live in Hungary. My goal is to work at a hedge fund in New York. Do I have a better chance if I go to university in New York City and start my life in debt? Yeah, it's a tough call. Yeah. And I think it's George Soros is from Hungary as well. And George Soros actually, speaking of the hedge fund market, he made $1 billion in one day shorting the British pound. He also made close to the same amount in one day by shorting the Thai baht, because the British pound and the Thai baht used to be fixed currencies. They didn't fluctuate. They're fixed and pegged versus other currencies. And so what George Soros did was he caused the Bank of Thailand and the Bank of England as well to float their currency. And he made, again, $1 billion in one day in both instances back in the 90s. Yeah. So in terms of should you go to university, and I'll make this a generic answer to apply to everybody, the way I look at it is this. If you network a lot and you set up a ton of informational meetings and you still can't get the job of your dreams, then what I recommend doing is go to LinkedIn and find people that are living your perfect life in 10 years today, and look to see what they have on their LinkedIn profile. And once you do that, you'll see there's a gap, and then you can work on filling that gap, so to speak. But I really do believe that your network is your net worth, and that relationships are more important than product knowledge. And before spending a ton of money on a university education to change careers, what I recommend doing is setting up a ton of informational meetings. And so when it comes to an MBA, a degree program, quite often they can cost over $100,000. Plus you lose 1 or 2 years worth of salary by taking the program full time. You have to pay for room and board, etc. What I recommend doing is set up 100 meetings, if you can, informational meetings, to try to change careers before considering doing an MBA. And pretend that each one of those meetings costs you $1,000. Okay, I know it sounds strange, but hear me out, please, because an MBA costs $100,000. So 100 meetings times $1,000. And if you still can't change careers after those 100 informational meetings, then by all means, look into getting a traditional MBA. Now, my MBA degree program, the cost is much, much less than just 1 hour of an MBA at a traditional school. Plus, you get a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And please join us on March 26th. I've got a special webcast where I'm going to talk about my program, and I'm going to be giving away a lot of prizes, including some of my courses for free. And to get more information on that, what you can do is just go to my website, which is HarounVentures.com. And then what you do is just scroll down and click here to reserve your spot to join me on that webcast. And you can also learn a lot more about my other programs here. My MBA degree program, my subscription package, get my book for free, and get my new course, my new YouTube course on how to vlog for free, etc. Again, go to HarounVentures.com. But I'd love to see you sign up for this and join us. It's free to join, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. I got a couple special things lined up, including a number of prizes, and I hope you guys like this backdrop here. I'm trying to set it up late last night. I'm having fun with it, but when I click this button here with this, it zooms in and says, just be you. You be you. All right. Okay. Next question I've got is from Tony. Hey, Tony, how are you? And Tony, I think you're from Montreal, but you live in Toronto, and your fiance works at Blake's, right? I remember that you mentioned that about a year or two ago on this webcast. I remember a lot of the stuff, yeah. And so Tony wrote here, hey Chris, thanks always for these live video streams. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. It's fun for me. I wanted to know your thoughts on investments. Do you think it's wise to start investing when you have small amounts, like $20,000 or $50,000? For example, it might be better to invest in your own company until a certain point, like 100 grand, etc. Would love your opinion. Yeah, I don't think there's a minimum amount you need to invest. I think even if it's $5, start saving today. And you can buy fractions of shares as well if you use services like Robinhood, etc. I'm not sponsored by Robinhood or any company, neither nor will I ever be. But Warren Buffett, he has this great quote where he says, spend what is left after saving instead of saving what is left after spending. And money doubles every 5 to 10 years if you invest it wisely. And the way to know how long it will take for your money to double is we use the rule of 72. And what that means is this. You take 72 divided by the interest rate, and that will tell you how many years it will take for your money to double. So 72 divided by an interest rate of, let's just say, 7.2% is 10. That's 10 years. So if you invest money at a 7.2% annual return, then your money will double in 10 years. If you invest money at a 14.4% return, then your money will double in 72 divided by 14.4 in 5 years, that sort of thing. So it's never too early to start investing. Start today. And I have a new course coming out very, very soon on how to save a ton of money so that very small savings can make you millions. Look out for that soon. We're just working on a promotional trailer right now. Do you like the corporate colors? I'm trying to get the green and the blue to match this way or this way. Yeah. All right. But yeah, and for you, Tony, you're based in Canada. And so there's the Registered Retirement Savings Program, the RRSP. You should max out every year if you can. And in America, it's called the 401k. In Australia, it's called the Super. And globally, all governments have savings programs because governments want you to be able to support yourself when you retire. And so the way these savings programs work is they're tax-free. And what that means is this. With every paycheck you get every 2 weeks or so, if you can, and I'm not sure at what stage you're all at in all of your lives, but if you can, take at least a little bit of money out every single paycheck and have it automatically go to your savings account or the markets or whatever market account you have through your bank. Out of sight is out of mind. Okay, as Warren Buffett said, spend what is left after saving. And have that money automatically go to your retirement savings account. And here's how it works. Whatever money you put in that retirement savings account, you don't pay taxes on it if it goes up a lot in value until you retire, many, many years from now. And then you pay tax one time when you take the money out. And so it grows tax-free every year. In America, I think that the limit per year is $18,500. Every country has their own limit. So just do a search on Google on your country name and retirement savings amounts you can contribute each year. Try to max out as much as you can. As much as you can, please. Okay. And everything you look at, think of it as you wasting money. I know it sounds strange, right? But for example, this lip balm here, if I pay $10 for a pack of them, and I know I can get them on sale elsewhere, but if I overspend and I pay $10 on this, then in 7.2 years, this will double. Or pardon me, in 7.2 years, that $10 will double if I invest it at a rate of 7.2%. So this is like $20 instead of $10. So that all comes back to the rule of 72, which is this. You take 72 divided by the interest rate you're going to get on something you're investing, right? And that's how many years it'll take to double. Okay, so if the interest rate on money I put in an investment is 7.2%, then 72 divided by 7.2 is 10 years. In 10 years, that money will double. Not the best example, but I think you know what I'm getting at. All right. Next question I've got here is Sakith is saying, hey, Chris, I hope this entire MBA helps me well. Yeah. And then you wrote, please choose accounting careers, which are good. Yeah. What I'll say is that in business, one of the only things that's not common sense is accounting and finance. It's like a different language and you have to learn it. And when you learn accounting and finance, please don't be a loser like I was and memorize equations. I got a D in accounting the first time I took it. And you're probably thinking, Chris, why are you teaching it then? Well, I got a D in accounting because I was memorizing concepts. You can't memorize. You can memorize in high school and do well. in biology exams, etc. But once you get to university or the real world, you can't memorize. You have to understand. And once you understand, then you'll never forget. And it's more fun to learn business if you understand it as well, which is why the way that I teach accounting and finance is in a fun gamification way with a lot of props so that you understand the formulas instead of memorize them. Otherwise, you get a D in accounting like I did. But accounting it's not common sense. You got to learn it. Yeah. Nilsa, how are you? Nilsa is one of my wonderful MBA students. She's awesome. She's from Puerto Rico, and her sister just joined recently as well. Thank you for that. And so Nilsa is saying, hi, Chris, hope you're doing well. Likewise. Thank you for sharing your experience with the imposter, and I congratulate you on the sophisticated way you culminated the issue. Confirms again how extraordinary you are. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And so what Nilsa is referring to is there's this person that tried to pretend they were me and tried to get people to give them cryptocurrencies. And if anybody, actually I'll show it to you, screw it. But if anybody watches cryptocurrency videos on YouTube and somebody asks you to provide them with their WhatsApp number, don't do it, please. Do not do that. And somebody, we caught the person that was doing it, and I'll show you how I caught him. Let me go off script here. Okay. I feel a bit uncomfortable showing you what I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show you anyway. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, and by the way, I'm using a program here called Wirecast, which is similar to a free program called OBS, which is Open Broadcast Software. And I teach all my students in my MBA program how to use Wirecast or OBS or even Twitch and Streamlabs. Okay. So let me show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go and find the video file here. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to go to add media file here. Really going off script here. And I do feel a bit uncomfortable about what I'm about to show you guys. But give me 1 second. The guy was trying to scam me. Scam. It's on this computer somewhere. I should have had it ready before, but I wasn't prepared to show you guys this. I think what I did was I sent it to myself as well. Download. Here we go. So yeah, this guy pretended he was me on YouTube. He even had a picture. It looked just like me and the same YouTube account name. And we caught him. Here it is here. Yeah. And I got detectives involved, the police, etc. Okay, great. Yeah. So, yeah, that's okay. Here's what happened. Okay. And I'll scroll through this with you guys here. Okay. So this guy pretended to be me, so I pretended to be somebody else. I said, Chris, thanks so much. I'm a big fan. And this is a guy pretending to be me, okay? He said, you're welcome. What's your name and location? And I gave him a pretend name. And I said, it'd be a great pleasure to meet you one day. And then he wrote, likewise, are you new trader, Usman? And I wrote, I've been buying a lot of tech stocks lately and GameStop over the year. I spelled this wrong too, over the year. Crazy charts. And he said, do you have cryptocurrencies? And I wrote, not yet. But I know you teach about it. I bought your course. I saw your interview on NBC, yada, yada. It's an honor to speak with you. I was just pretending to be somebody else. And then he wrote, are you located in Pakistan? And I wrote, yes, on purpose, because you can't buy cryptos in Pakistan. And I wrote, yes, I'm in New York often on business. And this is the guy pretending to be me. And he goes, I think Bitcoin is banned in Pakistan, but I have something else you can invest in. And I wrote, can I wire you money? And you can invest it for me, right? He goes, how much are you proposing? I said $9,000, because if it's 10 grand in the US or more, you have to register with the government, right? And I wrote, thanks so much. And he goes, when do you intend to do it? I go, let me ask my wife. And I said, she's saying yes. He said, okay. When do you want to do it? And I said, anytime. Right now? Sure. And he said, do you have to go to the bank to set up a wire transfer? I said, no. And he goes, what's the time over there? Like he's testing me. And I said, almost 5 a.m. in Pakistan. He goes, okay, I'll have to reach out to you and get you details. And then I wrote this stuff, which is a pretend. I made a spelling mistake on purpose. He said, I also need your full email. And I made that email up. And he gave me the person's name. Here we go. That's the person's name right there. Okay. And where they live. And the Swift account was from Atlanta or from Georgia, although their address was from California. So I caught him. Okay. And then this person, they kept pressuring me to invest, yada, yada, yada. And then I wrote, he wrote, when are you going to do the transfer? And I wrote, very soon, I promise. And then I sent him this video here. And I don't think you can hear the contents of the message I sent him. But after I sent him that message, what he did was he said, "Thank you. I'm going to turn my life around now and not do it again anymore." Which was pretty crazy. But let me see if I'll play you the message that I left him. And so one thing I want, and over on the left side, you can see I'm going to turn this video around here. One thing I want to say about this message I'm going to show you is that I'm a pretty religious guy. I believe there's one God. But I did mention Christianity in this message. So if you're not Christian, if you don't want to hear what I mentioned in this message, then what you can do is just not listen for the next minute. But I'm going to play it for you anyway. So give me 1 second. Let me make this a bit smaller so you guys can see it right here. Good. And I will play this message for you, and then I will be right back. It's about a minute long. Okay, here we go. Here's what I wrote to him. Thanks. Good morning, whoever you are. Okay, so I have detectives that have been tracking all of this, IP addresses as well. I know people at Facebook. I've got access to certain APIs for WhatsApp. Also, the address you left in Southern California, probably not you, but I do have detectives looking into that. I also have detectives looking into the SWIFT code that you gave, which was from the great state of Georgia here in the United States. Again, we also have your IP address. I have YouTube at their headquarters here in San Bruno, just around the corner from where I live, looking into this as well. And so I could go into more details and come after you, but I believe as a Christian that I'm going to turn the other cheek, and I'm going to stop this investigation right now, just to give you the ability to turn your life around and not scam people. Okay, so all I ask for you, please, and I say this with love in my heart, is to take down that YouTube account. Okay, I can get YouTube itself to do a cease and desist here in San Mateo or San Bruno at their headquarters, but I'll turn the other cheek and let you do it yourself. That's just the type of person I am, and just know that the Lord Jesus Christ loves you very much, and it's not too late for you to turn your life around. Thank you, and God bless you. And so, again, I believe there's one God, and there's many great religions out there. That's just the personal message that I sent this person. And then he sent back a message to me, thank you, I'm going to turn my life around right now. I then went back and checked out the YouTube account, and he changed it completely. Yeah, so if anybody asks you for money over YouTube, or when it comes to cryptocurrencies, please don't give in, even if they're trying to pretend to be somebody else. Yeah, so always do your own research. And I pride myself on humbly trying to help my students learn how to fish instead of giving them a fish. Because if you learn how to fish, you'll eat for a lifetime instead of just for one day if I give you a fish. And so what I teach is in my MBA degree program, in my cryptocurrency course as well, 49 steps on how to do your own research and decide whether or not you should invest in cryptocurrencies. Don't ever take my advice, or anybody's advice for that matter, when it comes to investments, because nobody is smarter than you. And I don't want you to watch television and learn from smart investors that speak gooder than us about what stocks to buy. I don't want you to read editorials in magazines or online about what stocks to buy. I want you to do your own research always. And the worst thing you can do is watch an interview with a CEO and then buy the stock of that company, because CEOs are the best salespeople in the world. That's how they became CEOs. Right? So don't listen to them. Do your own research. And when I used to work in the hedge fund industry years ago at Citadel, a buddy of mine I worked with used to say, Chris, how do you know when a CEO is lying? I was like, I don't know how. He said, when they move their lips. So I'm not that cynical. I believe that there's good in everybody, but always do your own research first, please, before investing in anything. Otherwise, what will happen is this. You'll become a tourist in a stock. Okay? You'll be a renter, and that's it. And you'll sell it when it goes down, which is highly illogical. And as Warren Buffett said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. Selling something you love because it goes down in value. Highly illogical. Always do your own research. And in my MBA degree program, I provide you with a plethora, many, many tools on how to invest, okay? Many frameworks. And I even have one framework that I'm going to show you right now, which is a 100-step process for analyzing stocks. And it's in Microsoft Excel. It's one of the many frameworks I provide you with in my MBA degree program. So what I want to do is, this is a very short video. I just want to show you that framework very quickly and a little bit more about the finance and accounting stuff that I teach in my program. So there's 5 main parts of my MBA degree program. One of them is finance and accounting. Here's what that 100-step framework looks like, and many other frameworks as well. This is a very short video. Thank you. So I provide you with all the tools you need to succeed in business and in all aspects of life as well. Now, most MBA programs will teach you the basics of finance and accounting, sales, marketing, and communications, economics management and strategy, and entrepreneurship, but just the theoretical stuff. I teach you real life practical concepts based on my many years of experience. I'm dating myself here, but over 30 years now in business. I teach you stuff that will make you successful immediately or your money back. There's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So anyway, if you have questions about the program or anything business related or anything at all, just let me know. I'm here to humbly help if I possibly can. I can't believe this is week 129. Okay. All right. Next question. I've got Kuban Media is saying, hi, Chris. Hey, hope you're doing well. Then we have the Hung Lee is saying, hey, Chris, thank you for being such an amazing person. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. If you were to start from scratch in today's world and volatile economy, what would your game plan be? So I would just do what you're most passionate about, and just be confident and just believe. Whoops, this side here. Believe in yourself, knowing that there's nothing you can't accomplish if you set your mind to it. And don't listen to anybody else in your life when they tell you what you should be. This is your life. It's very selfish of them to tell you what to be. This is your life. You've got one shot at it, and just be you. Be yourself, because everybody else is taken. And do whatever makes you happiest in life. Otherwise, what happens is if you listen to your parents or you try to impress your friends and you become, God forbid, a lawyer. Who the hell wants to be a lawyer unless you're a civil rights lawyer, right? But if you live your life to please other people, then what will happen is you'll be miserable for the rest of your life. In fact, the happiest day you'll have is when you get that job or you graduate from that university to become a lawyer or whatever it is, to please your parents or your friends, whatever it is. Just do what makes you happy, okay? Do what makes you happy, and don't give a damn what anybody thinks either. And I want you to fail a lot, okay? And you will never make it big and put your dent in the universe, so to speak, unless you fail many, many times. And as Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. That's it. That's it. So fail a lot. That's right. And don't give a damn what people think. Don't care. Don't care. I want you to recondition yourself, reprogram yourself when it comes to failure, and tell yourself that failure is cool. It's not shameful. Because every entrepreneur that's become incredibly successful, they all have one thing in common. They failed a gazillion times, and they never gave a damn what people thought of them. You know, Michael Jordan is the best example. You know, he once famously said, I failed over and over again in my career, and that's why I succeed. And he doesn't care what people think. I mean, imagine Michael Jordan, not Michael B. Jordan for the younger people there, but Michael Jordan, the basketball player. Imagine him thinking as he's playing a game, a playoff game, thinking, gosh, people are watching me. I hope I don't miss this shot. I'm kind of nervous. He doesn't give a damn, and neither should you. I want you to condition yourself like a professional athlete, not to care what people think. Okay, because you'll never make it big unless you fail a lot, over and over again. And the best entrepreneurs are like that. They don't give a damn what people think. Elon Musk never cared what people thought of him. He never did. You know, years ago, he was saying, I want to think about colonizing Mars. You know, people thought maybe that's a little bit nutty, but he didn't give a damn. And when you do what you want to do, people might think you're crazy, but who cares what they think? And then eventually you'll get a bit of success and they'll think, okay, crazy genius. And then eventually, genius. Do a search on Albert Einstein in Google. And the first picture will come up for many of you is the picture of him with long hair with his tongue sticking out. Nobody thinks crazy. They think genius. Because as Steve Jobs said, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are often the ones that do. Follow your heart. And everything else will follow, I promise you. Okay. All right. Next up, the Hung Lee is saying, where do you see the future of Disney's business model going? So I think that streaming is the future, to state the obvious. Disney had a very successful launch of the Disney Plus channel to streaming business. And I think they're going to continue to consolidate the universe instead of just buying companies like Marvel and LucasArts, which they bought for next to nothing. And by the way, we do a great case study on Marvel in my MBA degree program when it comes to Carl Icahn investing in bankruptcy in that company and the acquisition by Disney back in 2005, I think it was. So I think they'll continue to consolidate studios, kind of like the video game industry does. Like that's how Electronic Arts grows, right? It's not organic. They don't create new products internally. They buy studios, right? That's just how the media industry is. But I think Disney will just kind of be more of a streaming business model to the extent that it's all subscription based. And you don't just subscribe to Disney Plus, but longer term, I think you get a subscription to all Disney packages, including theme parks as well. Disney World in Orlando, as well as Disneyland in Southern California. It'll be a subscription package. And it's interesting to see Nintendo actually copy Disney by creating theme parks. And we do a great case study on Nintendo. I got to share it with you. It's so much fun. And so I really believe in gamification. And so let me show you a case study we do on Nintendo in my MBA degree program. It's a very, very short video, but I actually created, using Super Mario Maker 2, with maybe the help of my kids, maybe not, one of the classes in the economics management and strategy portion of my MBA degree program. Here it is. Check it out. Okay, next question I've got here is from Gurpreet, who's saying, "Hey, Chris, I signed up for the MBA program. Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there a way to download all the workbooks and other supporting files in one click?" So the way you can access the files is as follows. And the way that I architected the program is I made it so that you can access all workbooks on a desktop, a laptop, a television, or even your cell phone, iOS or Android, of course. And I give you 3 different file formats, which I'll show you right now. Okay, so those 3 file formats are Adobe PDF, as well as Microsoft Word and Google Docs. And so what you do is within the program, there's clickable links, but I'll go there directly. You go to MBA workbooks, MBA-workbooks. So HarounVentures.com. MBA-workbooks, all lowercase, right here. And then right here, you'll see that I've got all of the class workbooks here. Okay, so personal growth, as well as entrepreneurship, economics management strategy, etc. Right, and so there's 100 lessons. And so there's 100 workbooks in each file format as well. A lot of people like to use Google Docs, so they can just click here and be able to create their own copy. And other people like to actually download it as well. So completely up to you. You can download each one individually here. Not everything in a group setting yet, but I will add that if there's demand for that. Last thing I'll say is that I'd love to have you guys join me for a free live web class where I'll be giving away some of my courses and much more. And I'll be talking about the MBA program as well. And you can click here, go to HarounVentures.com to reserve your spot. Thanks. Okay. All right. All right. Next question's from Ali. Hey, Ali, how are you? Ali is saying, "Hey, Chris, best business professor ever. I hope all is well." Ali, I hope you're doing well, man. I hope you're doing well. God bless you, and I hope your son is doing well as well. Yeah. Ali graduated from my program last year. He's got a cute son. We did a bunch of Zoom calls, and God bless you, man. Always great to hear from you. Okay. All right. And let me see here. I think your son's name was Ahmed. I remember that too. Yeah. Okay. All right. And give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Here we go. Good. All right. Next up, HSJTV is saying, "Good to see you, Chris." Likewise. Thanks for joining. First time I've seen you. I hope you join us again. Thank you. Next up, Kaya is saying, "I wonder how much time to get those points." Really great. Let me know which points you're talking about, please. Thank you. Yeah. And by the way, if you submit a question here and you put a hyperlink or an internet address, for some reason, YouTube strips it out, so I never see it. So if you want to share an internet address, just spell it out. So instead of CNN.com, do CNN space DOT space COM. Yeah, thank you. All right, let me grab this mouse over here, change up the background, mix it up a bit. There we go. Why not? Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Arjun is saying, number 1, is quant, meaning algorithmic trading, the future of investing, like machines replacing humans? Should I be worried about it? Yeah, and I'll get to your second question in a second, yeah. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think algorithmic trading is the right way to invest at all. I don't think that trading makes sense as an investment philosophy either. And please keep in mind that the markets did extraordinarily well over the past year, and this is not a normalized economic environment or stock market, I should say. And so please don't trade, please. It's like going to a casino. I want you to be a long-term investor, okay? And I want you to, whenever you invest, I want you to ask yourself one question: if the stock market were to be closed for 10 years, would I be comfortable holding this investment still? That's what Warren Buffett says. And obviously we know the market will never be closed for 10 years. But I want you to be longer term focused. Because as Buffett said, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. And he's dead right. If you think about it, every month has 20 weekdays. And that means 20 days the markets are open. And trying to make money every month by trading is really, really difficult. You'll get fooled by randomness, because stocks go up and down based on factors out of our control. You know, there might be saber rattling regarding some sort of a trade war, hypothetically speaking, between DC and Beijing. Or there might be, extreme price movements in the price of oil because of arguments between Moscow and Riyadh. Or the stock that you own might go up or down a lot because of a healthcare related news release. Or the stock might go up or down a lot based on a similar stock in the sector that releases positive or negative news. It's just too hard to make money in the short run. You'll get fooled by randomness. The worst thing that can happen is that you start trading and you make money right away. And I say it's the worst thing because it's like going to a casino. Worst thing that can happen is you go to a casino for the first time and you make a lot of money. It's the odds are against us. You just got to be very, very long-term focused. And from a tax perspective, it's better to be long-term focused as well. And let me explain what this means. So in most countries, governments reward us for being long-term investors. What that means is if you make money on a stock in most countries, within 1 year, you pay higher taxes. But if you make money in more than a year, and then you sell that stock or whatever profit in more than a year, you pay lower capital gains taxes. Governments are trying to reward us for being long-term focused. Yeah, so just be very, very careful, please. Yeah. Now, when it comes to the future of investing in machines replacing humans, what we've seen is correlations have gone up a lot, right? So stocks are much more correlated. They move together much more so now than in the past. And one of the reasons is, yes, there is some computer algorithmic trading going on, but also it's because a lot of people are buying just a ton more ETFs or exchange traded funds, right? And so they're pouring more money into index funds or ETF funds, which makes the whole market move up and down together much more so from a correlation perspective, instead of just buying individual stocks. Yeah. Please don't get your stock advice from TikTok. Anybody? Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Especially if you're bored in the house board. I love TikTok. Okay. Next question is, why do people view short selling as a sin? Is there a chance that short selling will be banned permanently in the future? Yeah. I don't think short selling will ever be banned in the future. I think it's very healthy for the market. I believe in capitalism when it comes to Darwinian approach to investing, meaning the weakest companies just don't make it, right? So short selling actually makes the market more efficient in the long run because it punishes the companies that aren't going to make it longer term. Yeah. So I think it's a healthy thing. Yeah. But I will say that, and I don't think it'll ever get banned, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And I remember when I ran my hedge fund and back in the fall of 2008, I'll never forget it, man. We were within 24 hours of bank machines not working. And in September, in the third week of September, I think it was, in 2008, Hank Paulson, who was the Treasury Secretary at the time, he and other government officials decided to make it illegal to short 800 stocks temporarily. Okay, and that included government motors. General Motors. It also included a lot of banks, General Electric, which was basically a bank because of GE Finance, as well as the autos, etc. And so what happened was that caused the market to go up temporarily because a lot of people covered their shorts. I didn't cover any of my shorts, though, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to put on new ones. And I did extraordinarily well that fall relative to the markets because of that, humbly. Yeah. So in the long run, I think that shorting will remain forever. I don't recommend any of my students short stocks ever because the losses can be unlimited, right? And by the way, so shorting, for those of you not familiar with it, shorting means it's the opposite of buying a stock. So when you buy a stock, you go long the stock, right? That's just what they call it. So the opposite is called shorting a stock, which means that you borrow shares from the market. You pay a fee for that. You sell them in the open market. You hope it goes down. Then you buy it back and return those shares and you make money from the spread. Okay. But the losses could be unlimited because the stock could go up a lot and you could lose a ton of money, which is what happened to a lot of hedge funds. And my heart bleeds for them. Not at all. That's the world's smallest violin, right? It happened to a lot of hedge funds back in January and February with GameStop. Yeah, ticker GME. Yeah. So if you want to bet against a stock, instead of actually shorting a stock, what I humbly recommend doing is buying a put. Okay. And the way that puts work, and by the way, for those of you in my MBA degree program, we cover this in advanced options and basic options in class number 89 out of 100. the way a put works is, unlike a short, the losses are only limited to a small amount. So a put, what you do is you pay this much money, and if the stock goes down, you make a bunch, but if the stock goes up, you lose just this. If you short, you could, and say you put up this much money, you could lose an infinite amount. So please don't do it. Please don't do it. Yeah. So, but it's really uncomfortable too. And one of the reasons I shut down my hedge fund was I felt terrible making money when the market was going down. Like, I remember it was October of 2008, and the market was down over 20%. I think we made 3 or 4% that month. But I would come in every day with my analyst, and I'd hope that stocks would go down. And it was a really, really bad way to live. Not unethical. It was just bad. Like, I was hoping that regional banks would go belly up. I was hoping that Lennar, ticker LEN, and KBH Homes, ticker KBH, would go to zero. Or Westlake, WLK, which makes PVC plastic piping, which goes into houses. I would hope that would go to zero because I was short all those stocks. It's just not a healthy way to live. It's not. Yeah. So, and a lot of people are corrupt in the hedge fund industry. What happened in the fall of 08, nobody talks about this. But hedge funds actually hired actors and people to line up at banks in New York City, okay, smaller banks. And they were short those banks as well. And so if the media saw, oh my gosh, look at this, a bunch of people are lining up outside to get their money out of bank of whatever, the stock would go down and they'd profit. Yeah. So what I'll say, having worked in the hedge fund industry, and I've met a lot of wonderful people in the sector, but there's also a large number of avaricious, very selfish people that are highly unethical. And it made me really, really uncomfortable. Not all of them, but there's some. When it comes to money, it's just what happens. Is what happens, right? And there's a reason why a lot of people in the hedge fund industry are in jail, because they break the rules. And I've actually gone to jail to visit my friends. I've never broken any laws. I've gone to jail to visit my friends that have broken the laws. Now, when you get arrested by the FBI, that's right, they're the ones that raid your house and stuff, all your friends run away from you. They want nothing to do with you, but I ran towards my friends. Always. Yeah. And it's tragic to be in in jail for a couple of years. It's not a good thing. Yeah. And you might wonder, I don't get it, Chris. Like, why is it that really, really rich or successful or wealthy people, they're billionaires, and then they get caught for something? Like, why would they do that? They're already wealthy. Because once a cheater, always a cheater. Kind of like in a marriage. One data point does make a trend when it comes to cheating in the market, so to speak. These people, they became very wealthy, a lot of them, because they cheated. Not all of them. And yes, I am definitely a capitalist. Look, I don't believe in robbing from the rich to give to the poor, Robin Hood, whatever, which is the name of a great charity on the East Coast of New York. I believe in capitalism. But when it comes to a lot of money on the table, people do break the laws. And I can go into more detail on that if you want to. I had a very good friend of mine. He worked at a hedge fund in New York City called Galleon. Now, he worked for a man named Raj Rotman, who I actually met with. I had dinner once with him at a Deutsche Bank conference in Miami in 2004. Raj Rotman's in jail now. And what Raj would do is he would put a lot of pressure on his analysts to make a lot of money quickly. And so I knew a guy that worked there. And in the morning meeting before the market opened, what Raj would do is he would ask his analysts. He would ask them questions about stocks. And he kind of thought of himself, and this is weird, this is a good analogy from people that work there. He thought of himself as being like that guy from Gladiator, Joaquin Phoenix. And he would sit in front of everybody, and he would get two analysts at Galleon that have differing opinions on a stock and basically put them in the pits and watch them fight and then decide whatever. It's true. But what he would do is he would ask questions like this. How's the quarter going on Intel? He would ask the semiconductor analyst that in the morning meeting. How's the quarter going on Intel? And the analyst would say something exactly like this. Well, as I told you yesterday, the quarter is going well. And then Raj would interrupt and say, no. How's the quarter going as of this morning? And That's against the law. You're not allowed to know how business is tracking from insiders at a publicly traded company. And so he did this over and over and over again and eventually got caught, because once a cheater, always a cheater. And I had a buddy of mine that worked there, and I said, why? Why would you do that? Why would you give in? You seem like, I thought you were an ethical, what is this? And he told me, Chris, it's really tough. And it's, don't judge a man until you walked a mile in their shoes. And I said, tell me more about it. And he said, yeah, sure. He said, well, I lived on the Upper West Side in New York City, and I was making $1 a year, $1 million a year. And my kids were in great preschools, which cost 30 grand, crazy. And so I had to support, and I had this great apartment. I had to support the standard of living every year, right? And the way it works in the hedge fund industry, you can make a big bonus one year, get fired next year. And so because I wanted to make sure that standard of living was perfect for my family year after year after year, I actually compromised my integrity. And so you always want to live below your means. And the bottom line is, for all of you out there, if you ever hear something that you think is non-public information, if you work at a financial services firm, I want you to tell your boss right away. And if you don't work at a financial services firm, don't transact on it at all, please. Please. Because they will find it. Okay. All right. All right. Hassan is saying, hi, Chris. Good evening from India. I hope you're doing well, Hassan. Okay. Okay. Gregory, next up, Gregory is saying, as investors, how should we think about the decline in publicly traded companies? Yeah. I'm trying to think of the best way to answer that, or the best way to interpret how to answer that question at all. Yeah, can you just rephrase the question if you don't mind? Because the market's at an all-time high right now. Yeah, if you're talking about the decline of individual stocks, one way to think about it is this, and I'll talk about especially with tech stocks. So when a company starts to become a little bit less relevant in tech, okay, it's game over. Turnarounds do not work in technology except for one per decade. If the founder comes back, like what happened with Apple, for example. But usually when a technology company starts becoming less relevant, it's game over, right? It is what it is, right? And there's a gazillion different examples I can give of this, right? Turnarounds don't work in tech, except maybe one per decade. And so if that's how you're thinking about decline in publicly traded companies, if I put on my short seller hat when I used to work in the hedge fund industry, I would think about it that way. If a company is starting to become a little bit less relevant, it's usually game over. And yes, turnarounds work sometimes, but don't get seduced by cheap valuations in companies that are becoming less relevant. Ask yourself a basic question. In 5 years, is this company going to be more relevant than it is today or less relevant? Right? So it's a slippery slope. Turnarounds almost always do not work in tech unless the founder comes back. And by the way, when a founder leaves a company, if all the founders leave a company, get out of the way. Don't invest anymore. And I wrote a very controversial article about this years ago on venturebeat.com as a guest columnist. When a founder or all founders leave a company and are no longer engaged at all, you got to run for the exits, especially in tech. Why? Because what happens is bureaucracy sets in. When the founder is still at a company, still running the show, the board loves them because she or he, has done great things with this company, and they can do whatever they want, basically, okay, within reason. And they don't have to think about politics and internally in the company. It's their company, they founded it. But what happens is when a founder and all the founders leave a company and are no longer engaged at all, then nobody wants to take a risk and innovate. Why? Because if you're climbing the corporate ladder at a company and you step out of line, so to speak, and take a risk and innovate, if you create a new product and it flops, you're done. You're no longer climbing the corporate ladder. You're done. You're done. And if you're successful, you don't really get comp for it. There's only one CEO role, right? You don't get paid a massive bonus because it would disrupt the entire compensation system of the company. And so when a founder leaves, especially smaller cap tech companies, run for the exit. Just don't be there anymore. And one thing it does worry me about Amazon, and I've loved the stock for decades, absolutely loved it. Never bet against it, which is a widowmaker for many, novice hedge fund people. But now that Jeff Bezos is kind of stepping aside, he's still engaged. He's still somewhat engaged with the company. But if he were to leave completely, I think Amazon would be the best short in the world. Why? Because the company wouldn't be as innovative. And so you might ask yourself, well, Chris, hold on a second. I've done a lot of research on Amazon, and Andy Jassy, the new CEO, or who will be the new CEO later this year, is a great choice. I agree, because Andy Jassy started Amazon Web Services, which is the highest profit margin and the best growth vehicle within Amazon. I get it. But Jeff Bezos is still engaged, right? He's still there. He's still chairman, or is going to be. But if he exits completely, run for the exits, because innovation will die. And that's why bureaucracy sets in a lot of these companies. I had a good friend years ago. He wanted to leave Hewlett Packard. And I said, great, let me help you, right? And so he said, yeah, I've been there 20 years, Chris. Can you help me with my resume? I was like, yeah, for sure. And so I sat down with him and I said, well, what have you learned in the past 20 years? And what's a portable skill? And he told me, well, I kind of learned how to navigate HP politics. That's not a portable skill. Yeah. And so that's what happens when the founders leave. Yeah. So when Mr. Hewlett and Mr. Packard left, the company slowly went into secular decline. Yeah. Now it's been broken up into multiple companies. And HP is where software companies used to go to die. They were at one point the 5th biggest software company in the world because they bought a lot of companies. And yeah. All right. Next up here, next up here, question is from the Hung Lee is saying, don't mess with Chris. Thanks. And if you're just joining us, earlier on, I was showing somebody tried to pretend they were me online, and I caught them. And yeah. I turned the other cheek, though. I used to think kindness is a sign of weakness, but. All right. Next up, hey, Valens, how are you? Valens is a graduate from my MBA degree program. He's originally from Indonesia, where all his family is, but he lives and works now in New Zealand. Valens, wonderful to hear from you. Valens wrote, what are your thoughts about the supply chain job being replaced by artificial intelligence, including white collar? Yeah. So I think automation is a great thing. I remember back in the 1980s, people were really, really worried about automation and robots. And there was this movie called Gung Ho with Michael Keaton, which was a Japanese company had moved into the United States and taken over a plant. There's a lot of robotics and people's jobs were being replaced. And the media was very, very negative on that secular shift. But I think it's a good thing because people can retool and focus on other things, right? They reinvent themselves, focus on maybe entering the services economy instead of manufacturing. I think it's always a good thing when we can accomplish more as a society by spending less. Always. And I always spend a ton of money on technology and automation as well. And I'm going to show you behind the scenes this awful angle here, keeping it real here. Let me just change the f-stop here to show you. It looks like it's locked in. Yeah. But I spend a ton of money on technology as well, and not that much on people. I have a handful of great employees that they're amazing. Like Matt Look, who's who's the only partner in my firm, and many other people as well. But I really do believe in spending and overspending on technology because it can make you much more productive. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up. What are your thoughts of UX designers or user interface designers? Yeah. And also, do you know how well of a drawing you need to be a UX designer? Yeah. No. So you don't have to be an architect. So for those of you not familiar with what Valens is talking about, so there's in technology, a lot of jobs, there's front end and then back end, right? So front end is making all the cool little buttons and stuff, the user interface, UI, graphical user interface, good way they used to call it. And then the back end stuff is just, Python code, et cetera, and database, all that stuff, the entire stack. If you're creative, right? If you're really creative and artistic, I recommend becoming a front end user designer. Okay, it's more fun and more creative. If you're a little bit more computational and scientific, then being a programmer working, in the mid-tier or back-end database, et cetera, might make more sense, right? But I don't think you have to be a very gifted architect or drawer, as you mentioned there, to be good at user design. You just have to know how to use certain software applications to do it. Yeah, it's fun too. Yeah. Okay. All right. And I'm not a good drawer, but I love the graphical user interface side or the front end stuff. Yeah. All right. Hey, Manas, how are you? Manas saying, good morning, my dear mentor. Hope all is well. Likewise. And then you wrote here, I really loved your message for that scammer. You're an angel. Thank you. You change people's lives no matter how they behave with you. Thank you. God bless you and your family forever. Just do what you're doing for the next 1,000 years. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. And a lot of people wouldn't have done what I did. I was going after this guy who was pretending to be me. And I wanted, I don't know, I decided to turn the other cheek, and the best thing I could do is just confront him or her or whoever this person was, and just tell them, look, it's not too late to turn your life around. I believe everybody gets a second chance, always. And I have, I have students that have a criminal record, and I believe in a second chance, always. And I might have been in jail like that person was if I got caught for doing things when I was younger, stupid little things, whatever. Yeah, like stealing street signs and stuff when I was a kid. Yeah. Everybody deserves a second, third, and fourth chance. Yeah, and no matter what you do, God loves you. Always. Unconditional love. Okay. And there's good in everybody. Okay. All right, next up, Mehdi is saying, what are some of the activities I can do in university in order to land a job at a big multinational company? Currently, I'm at my first year studying computer science in Italy. I'm planning to get a master's in science afterwards. Yeah. So, it all comes down to networking. Your networking is, relationships are more important than product knowledge. And the earlier you realize that in your career, the better off you'll be. When we're younger and we're in high school or university even, we keep our head down. And if we get good grades, everything seems to work out great for us. Our parents are proud, we're proud of ourselves, whatever, and life is working. Then what happens is you join the corporate world and you work hard and you keep your head down, you do a good job. And then something happens. You look around and you realize, hey, wait a second. Why are other people getting raises or promoted faster than I am? I think I'm better, humbly, than they are, hypothetically. What is this? What's happening? It's because these people around you know how to network. Your network is your net worth. And so what you have to do is you have to find multiple Yodas or mentors within your company and get people to mentor you so they can pull you up along the way. And even get your boss's assistant, that's right, to mentor you. Why? Because they know how the system works. They know how their boss thinks. That person, he or she, has probably been with that boss for many years at many different companies. Get mentoring from people at all levels and watch your career take off. Yeah. Okay. And so, and a lot of people ask me also, how can I leave my country and go to another country? How do I do it? It's hard to get a visa. Well, what I recommend doing is being very long-term focused, and just pick one company that has a headquarters in another country, and join that company at whatever level, even the mailroom. Work your butt off, get promoted through the ranks, and eventually they will transfer you to the mothership in the other country. They will get you a visa. You can start in the mailroom, right? And people in the mailroom are very successful many times. A lot of people in the mailroom, they have no education at all, but they go from the mailroom and eventually the CEO position. Why? Because they can network, right? You know what I'm talking about. The jolly person that says, here's your mail. Did you see the game last night? How was your weekend? That sort of thing. I'll give you examples. The CEO of Goldman Sachs for a couple decades, a guy named Sidney Weinberg. No education. He started in the mailroom. The former president of ESPN started in the mailroom. The former editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine, she started in the mailroom. David Geffen, he started in the mailroom. Simon Cowell, he started in the mailroom. The list goes on. Barry Diller from it goes on and on and on and on. You can network your way to the top from any position in any company, but you have to network a lot and network aggressively. If you want to learn how to network in more detail, what you can do is go to my website, which is harounventures.com, and just scroll down. It's somewhere along the bottom here. Yeah, here it is here. You can download my networking book for free. It's a couple hundred pages and a couple hours of YouTube videos as well. And I promise you it will help you. I promise you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Where am I at now? All right. And if I skip any questions, just paste it again, please. Thanks, guys. Okay. Yeah. But in terms of extracurricular activities, just get a leadership position within university. Just follow up to your question here. Start a club, that sort of thing. Yeah, it looks good. All right. Now, Peyton, how are you? Peyton's one of my my wonderful MBA degree students. Peyton is he's from Hawaii originally. He lives in Southern California. He's in the Navy right now. Although his wife is from Oklahoma, they might move back there eventually. Great guy. And he's got a great YouTube channel. So please, everyone, look at his name here, Peyton, and follow him. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. So Peyton wrote, please consider Chris's MBA program. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. And then Peyton wrote, I've completed 15% of his course, and I've started a book about lessons in the Navy. I've talked with CEOs. I've got job offers. I'm becoming a thought leader on YouTube and LinkedIn. Thank you, Peyton. Thank you. And then you wrote here, and in the process of starting my own tech startup as well. Chris, I'll be sending the business plan soon. Awesome. He will challenge you in ways you never thought, and you'll be better for it. And then you wrote, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope all is well. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. God bless you. God bless you. And I want you guys to check out Peyton's channel because he is going to be a giant. And he got actually one-on-one meetings with CEOs by making certain YouTube videos. It's unbelievable what he's done with networking. And he is a thought leader. So go to YouTube and you'll see his content. It's great. So YouTube, and then I'll search here, Peyton, and then here we go. Good. All right. Yeah. So subscribe to. Oh wow, man! He just started. He's already got 263. It's awesome, dude. He's got these awesome videos. They're really, really funny as well. Yeah, they're great. And a couple of these he made about CEOs and companies, and he got meetings. Like right here, Lemonade Insurance. He got a meeting with the CEO of the company by making videos about that. Really, really cool. There he is right there. Very cool. Very cool. He's an icon. He's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And I'm proud to call him a friend. Thank you. Okay. All right, and Manas wrote here, I messaged you a half hour ago on LinkedIn, as I had promised. It's a roadmap to 10 times your business. I analyzed all factors and made this up. Just keep it to yourself for the time being and ask me. No, thank you. Ask me any questions you have. I'm ready to help anytime. Tell you what, man, thank you. I appreciate that, Manas. Manas, why don't you share it with us here? Let me know here, because we can all learn from it as well. Thank you. Just share all the data points here, and we'll walk through them all together. Thanks. Okay, thank you. Okay, next up, Mehdi wrote here, what activities can I engage in to boost my leadership skills? Yeah, okay, so the question, you're welcome. Mehdi is saying, what activities can I do to boost my leadership skills? Yeah. So, if you don't have management experience yet at your company and you want that to be on your resume, what you can do from a management/leadership perspective is you can start a charity on the side. Okay, I've done it many, many times, and it gets the entrepreneurial itch or bug out of you, so to speak, if you're curious about entrepreneurship. And you can recruit a lot of people to work for free at this charity. And so I did this back in 1990s, in 1997 to be exact. I started CICC.com, which stands for Canadian Internet Charity Consulting, which is now a big Chinese company, got that address. And I'll show you. And what you can do, by the way, if you're ever doing research on any company, what you can do is you can look to see what their website used to look like or their competitors' websites used to look like. It's an amazing service. It's free. It's called Internet Archives. So just do a search on Internet Archive. Here it is here. And you can type in any address you want. So if I type in CICC.com, which was the charity I started back in 97, it should be here somewhere. All right, let's go here. Let's go to the main page here. URL. So let's go CICC.com. You can even look at my old web addresses. Or my Haroun Ventures, the original one, which was a joke. Here it is here. Okay, good. So right now, if I click here, you'll see it's owned by it's a Chinese company that owns it, right? So if we look at what it looked like in April 1st, no joke, of last year, I'm clicking on it here. You see what that website looked like in April of last year. It's a little bit slow. It's a free service here. But what you can also do is you can go back to see what CICC.com looked like back in the 90s when I owned this address. Let me click here. I'll show you. All right. It was ridiculous. So if I go to November of 98, and I started in 97, I think, you get snapshot pages. And when you're doing research on companies, equity research or whatever it is, in order to see how the company has grown over the years, what you can do is you can go back to see what the websites look like over the years. Or if you're starting a company, you can find out who your biggest competitors are and then go back to see what their website looked like many, many years ago as well. I'm trying to buy time until this website loads. Here it is. It's loading right now. I use cascading style sheets. I was such a nerd back then. It's coming. It's such a cheesy website. Here it is here. Yeah. And I even had a little pop-up box. Welcome to Canadian Internet Charity Consulting. I made this with JavaScript. I was very proud of it at the time because I was bleeding edge then. Yeah. But here's my website. I used CorelDRAW to make this years ago. I'm that old. And here's what I did. And here's my address and all that stuff too. Yeah. But if you're ever doing research on any company, go use the internetarchive.org website to find out what your competition, what their websites look like when they first got started, right? You can do it for Airbnb or any company. It's comical almost, the way it looked like years ago. Okay. But CICC.com is now owned by the biggest investment bank in China, I think. Okay, let me get rid of this and get back on track. All right. Yeah, so yeah, you can boost your leadership skills by starting a charity. Also, get as much experience as possible, please, with public speaking. Okay, so, and it doesn't cost you any money to do it. You can go to Toastmasters. Online, or you can go to meetup.com and get experience with this. And the website I'm going to show you now is gold. It's free. It works in every country for every sector. So what you do is you go to meetup.com and you type in Toastmasters or anything you're interested in, right? And so I did a call recently with one of my great students based in Brooklyn in the house. But you type up Toastmasters. And Toastmasters is just an organization that's free to join where you practice speaking. I need practice. And so right here, you can join Toastmasters meetups. Some of them are in person, some are virtual because of COVID. But you can type up any city you want in the world. Moscow? Duh? I think so. Yeah. It works everywhere. Yeah, here we go. Toastmasters in Moscow. It works everywhere. And if you're trying to find, let's say that you're not a technical person, and you want to start a tech company, and you're more of a Steve Jobs type person, a visionary, great at selling and marketing, but you need a Wozniak, Steve Wozniak, right? To find your Woz, so to speak, your yin and your yang, complete you and your business plan, your business model, and your management team. You can go here as well and go to events and find techies that you can partner with. So let's say that you want to partner with somebody that knows Python, a great programming language. What you do is you type in Python and you can go to these events, okay? And then you type in the location. So let me type in, okay. So right here, what do it's not working? Python, I typed it here. Oh, here it is. Yeah, good. All right, so Beverly Hills, for example, Python for beginners, that sort of thing. So anyway, and you can get customers too. So a great way to get customers and a network to get business partners and jobs even sometimes is to go to events like this. Yeah, it's free. Okay. All right. All right. Next up, Ayaru is saying, "Hi, Chris. First time joining. It's great. Thank you. I hope you join us again. I tried something different. I'm doing trying to play around with colors and stuff back here as well. I've got these pedals I set up using something called DMX lighting. I tried to set up my corporate colors, green and blue. Yeah. Let's try new things. Excellent. I hope you join us again. Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you, Manas, as well. And Manas, whatever advice you have, just share them here so everybody can see as well. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. And if anybody has emailed me or messaged me and I haven't responded, I'm so sorry. I get a ton of messages. The best way to reach me is always right here in this open session. Thank you. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Arjun M. Wow, I worked with there's a guy at Goldman, we almost overlapped, named Arjun Murdy. He worked in Canadian shares, good guy. But Arjun is saying, Chris, you're an amazing person. Thank you. No, thank you. And love your enthusiasm. Thank you. And you wrote, normally I skip ads on YouTube, but I got impressed by your ad. And that click is one of the amazing things that happened. Thank you. Please let me know what ad that was. I'm just very curious. Yeah. Because we do a lot of ads here ourselves. We figured out how to, with my MBA program, which has taken off, it's been great. We figured out how to advertise and reach people that sign up for the program that they've never heard of my stuff before in any other platform. And we're scaling the business. It works, and I'm very blessed. Yeah. Thank you. But let me know what ad. I'm curious always. Thanks. All right. And then, hey, Pratik, how are you? Pratik wrote, hey, Chris, have a nice one. The background looks very nice. Thank you. It's new. I'm trying something different here. Yeah. Be you. Okay. And Manas wrote here, what do you think about Bitcoin? If most countries do ban cryptocurrencies, then don't you think it'll be useless? Yeah. Well, I think it'll be useless if every single country on the planet bans it, which is not going to happen. Yeah. The problem with traditional paper-based currency, which people call fiat currency, the problem with fiat paper currency is that it's a monopoly. Every country has a monopoly on their currency, and we know what happens with monopolies. They get lazy and they don't innovate, and it's ridiculous because the currency we're using today, the paper-based currency, is exactly the same currency in the United States. It looks exactly the same as it did back in the 1930s, right? And the problem is also that we just have no control over how much people are going to print of that stuff. In the past year, the United States government has increased the supply of US dollars by 25%. That's crazy, right? They had to do it, and it was the right call, right? Because this awful COVID crisis, that stimulus checks, they have to do it, right? It's a good call. But you have no control over how much of that's going to be made. And that's why NFTs are starting to take off, and cryptocurrencies too. So before you invest in anything, you have to look at the supply. And with Bitcoin, we know for a fact, according to Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper, we know that the maximum number of Bitcoins that will ever be created is 21 million by the year 2140. So there's going to be a limit or a dearth of supply. And when it comes to any natural resource or anything you invest in, you got to look at supply always. Like my grandfather used to say to me, Chrissy, buy land. They're not making it anymore. Always look at supply. Always. Yeah. With money, cash is trash. You have no control over how much supply they're going to make. And in Zimbabwe, in the fall of 1998 or 2008, in Zimbabwe, the daily inflation rate was 98%. You have no control. And that's why cryptocurrencies are here and here to stay. But I do believe that most cryptocurrencies are a scam, and a lot of people are going to go to jail for scamming other people. But there are some that are definitely worth investing in. And you can take my complete cryptocurrency course or sign up for my MBA degree program if you want to at this address here to learn more. Yeah. Let me get that out of the way. Sorry. Okay. All right. And when it comes to NFTs, and I get a lot of questions about this sort of thing, or virtual art, it's all about supply and demand as well. You know, it's a little ridiculous, the price of some of these things, like that art that was Trump lying down or something, a little bit classless. Doesn't matter what political affiliation you have. And there was spray paint on his body and stuff. That sold for $6.6 million. Yeah. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. It's just not very classy, that piece of art. But you got to look at supply always. And the NBA is getting into it. They've done a fantastic job. The NBA is probably the best run sports business model on the planet, right? They're amazing. And so if you go to eBay, you can see a lot of NFTs or non-fungible tokens there that are sponsored by the NBA. And let me go there with you to explain what this is. Easier way for me to explain it. Okay. So if you go to eBay right here, and then you type in NFT, which I did recently, or Clash of Clans, which is virtual as well. You can buy Clash of Clans people's their game for $500 if they're at town level 13, I think. Yeah. But if we type in NFT here, let's go through this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let me go back to the home here and type in NFT from scratch. And whenever you do a search on this stuff, you got to make sure that you look at what's already sold, right? Because somebody asking a certain price doesn't mean it's worth something. What everything is worth, including stocks, is whatever the last transaction was done at. And so, for example, right here, this here is some basketball thing for $27. So I don't know who that is, but let me sort by highest price here. Okay. All right. And let's see one that actually sold. Yeah, here we go. These are NBA packs of cards. And my kids used to do this online on the NBA's website years ago for free. And they get excited to get these virtual cards, right? But these are ones that have sold. Here's individual players. Zion Williamson. It's like a 3D graphical thing here. Somebody, there's 61 bids went through and somebody bought it for about $1,300. If you zoom in, you'll see that there's only 1,642, I guess, made of this. I guess, yeah. So you got to look at supply as well. If there's only one made, it's going to be worth a fortune. Like there was a $4 million card from Mike Trout that sold last year. Pretty amazing, yeah. Oh, Major League Baseball, finally they're getting into it. Yeah, God, they're slow to do this. Yeah, and I downloaded RBI Baseball 21 last night. It's pretty good, yeah. So anyway, you got to look at supply always. Okay. Oh, Mina, how are you? Mina is one of my wonderful MBA students. She's from Greece originally. She lives in Crete. She works at a great discount carrier airline called Ryanair, based out of Ireland. And she's also, she's also a rock star coder, making a great video game as well. And so Mina wrote, "Hey, Chris, just jumping in now because I have a meeting during the MBA hours. Hope all is well." Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Next up, Michael Reynolds. How are you? Michael runs a not-for-profit up in Sonoma, which is about an hour north of me, right by Napa Valley. He has got a massive heart. And Michael, you know that all my courses and programs are free for you and all of your customers, patients, whatever, at your charity. And thank you for doing what you do. And thank you so much for that donation you made to Project Magoo as well. God bless you. Thank you. So Michael wrote, "Good morning, Chris. I hope you and your family are doing well. I'm wondering about inflation. What are the best ways to protect against and or prepare for inflation or even potential hyperinflation?" Yeah. So it's a great question. So there's something called TIPS, which stands for Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. And what TIPS are government bonds that are issued that go up in value based on the interest rate that you see, which is probably pretty low because the rates are basically zero now. But if inflation goes up a lot, these things go up by the exact same amount as well. Hence the name, Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. Yeah. And in general, I would just be incredibly diversified globally as well. Not just in U.S.-based assets, but own global stocks as well and different asset classes. So, stocks, bonds, commodities, Real estate, of course. And if you can't buy a house or an apartment, you can invest in real estate through what are called REITs, REITs, real estate investment trusts. And the way they work is it's like a mutual fund, sort of. It's a collection of real estate assets, and you can get a ticker for them and buy any one you want. And by law, in most countries, REITs or real estate investment trusts, what they do is they have to pay out 90% of their profits in the form of dividends. And that's why these REITs or real estate investment trusts have very, very high dividend yields, right? So if we go here to finance.yahoo.com and just type up, let's find any REIT here. REITs. Okay, here we go. American Tower Corporation, AMT. So this here is a REIT of a bunch of different towers, cell towers, I think, across the country. Yeah. But you can get tickers for them as well. Yeah. And usually their dividend yields are quite high. Let's see if this one's, put myself in the spot here live, has a high yield. Profile. Where is it here? Let's see here. Statistics. Yield. Yield. Where is it here? Yield. I'll do a search on dividends. There we go. Yeah, dividend's not that high. It's usually higher, but again, stocks are up quite a bit. Payout ratio is very, very high because it is a REIT. Okay. More questions. All right. Somebody's saying no sound. I think we're good here. Anybody else saying no sound? It works for me. It's Rudy wrote that. Rudy, I hope you're doing well. Rudy started an insurance company. That's right, years ago. Okay. All right. Next up, Michael is saying, I was thinking about national debt recently, and I did some research, and I found that nearly every country in the world has significant debt. Yes, especially now. And as I mentioned earlier, the United States has printed 25% more currency in the past year than they've had previously, right? Yeah. And I know why people are worried about inflation. Makes sense, yeah. And what happened was with hyperinflation in Germany post-World War I, what people did was it got so ridiculous. The German government after World War I printed so much money that people took Deutschmarks, actually, and that was their currency before the euro, in wheelbarrows to buy a loaf of bread. And there are some funny images of this as well, which I'm sure will circulate the next couple of years, given the fact everyone's worried about hyperinflation. So watch this up. Watch this here. Inflation. Let me see. We'll go Germany, money, market, inflation. And I have a couple of these notes as well. Let's go to images. Google corrected me as always. Yeah. Hyperinflation. That's right. In the Weimar Republic, right here. Yeah. Unbelievable how much they printed after World War II. So let me actually go here. 1920s hyperinflation. I want to show you some funny pictures. Yeah, here it is here. Yeah. And I have a bunch of these that are worth nothing. Right here, kids were playing around with it. Look at this. Kids were playing with money like it was cards. Look at this. And this is the wheelbarrow one I was talking about too. This dude had to get a wheelbarrow of cash just to buy a loaf of bread in the marketplace, right? And people use this stuff as wallpaper as well. It's worth nothing, right? And so, in fact, what happened in the United States, so there's this great Federal Reserve chairman named Paul Volcker. And Volcker, God bless him, passed away recently. In the early 1980s, inflation was rising in America. It was scary, and the late 70s. And so what the manager of the store of money in America, which is the Federal Reserve, what Volcker did at the time was he was worried. He was like, oh my gosh, what do we do in America? Like rates, everything, the price of everything's going up. What do we do? And so what he did was he called his buddy in Germany, Helmut Kohl, who was the chancellor at the time, and he asked Helmut, he's like, how did your country deal with inflation after World War I? Or what did they learn? And the German finance officials told Volcker in the early 80s in America, you got to raise interest rates massively. Otherwise, it's going to get out of control, like it did with the Deutschmark. And so that's what Volcker did. In the early 1980s, interest rates were about 20%, right? And the reason the U.S. government did that was to control inflation. And it had such a catastrophic impact in the economy, but it was the right decision. It had such a catastrophic impact in the economy that the stock market did terrible in the early 80s, and not many companies were founded in the early 80s. Why? Because if you think about it, if we go back in time don't ever go back in time to 2020. Okay. But if we go back in time to 1980 and interest rates are about 20%, where are we going to put our money? Well, I'll put it in the bank. It's low risk and I'll make 20%. I'm not going to buy stocks. I'm not going to buy real estate. I'm just going to put my money in the bank. And that's what people did. And not many companies were founded in the early 80s because of this. Right. And the market did terrible as well. And I remember really well at the time, my dad, God bless him, it was challenging. He started his company in the 70s. And by 1980, we had a house. We lived in a place called Mississauga in Canada. And the mortgage was 20%. It was unbelievable. It was crazy. It was scary, man. And unlike America, in America, you can write off the interest on your mortgage. It's tax deductible. In Canada, you can't do that, which is why Canada didn't have the same financial crisis when it comes to real estate that America had back in 08. Yeah. But the bottom line is this. The only way to control inflation is to raise interest rates aggressively. And any country that doesn't raise interest rates when times are good is being really short-term focused and fiscally irresponsible. You know, governments have the fiduciary duty to make sure that they can control the economy and boost the economy when needed. How? Well, when times are good, government should raise interest rates a little bit every now and then, so that when times are bad, and the economic cycle is always cyclical, but when times are bad, they can cut interest rates to jumpstart the economy. Rate cut multiple times. So yeah. And I think one of the big problems with the U.S. economy was that when times were good over the past couple of years before COVID, they should have raised interest rates. They should have. All countries should have. Okay. All right. And then Michael wrote, I began to wonder regarding inflation, if every country is in debt, then who holds all the paper? Is it other countries, citizens in the form of bonds? Yeah, you're right. You're right. So when governments print a lot more money, what happens is this. Okay, they basically sell. Let's see. You're a consumer, and what I do is, and you own bonds. I buy the bonds back from you. I'm the government. You're a consumer. I buy your bonds. Okay. And you give me that piece of paper, and in return, you get cash. Okay. So what happens is the amount of money out there in society goes up a lot. And so if a ton of people do that, a ton of people allow the government to buy back bonds and stuff. I'm the government. You're all investors and big banks as well. So what I do is I buy back these bonds from you. Okay, I'm the government. You give me your bonds, and in return, I give you all cash. And what happens is, with any commodity, when the supply increases a lot, the price goes down. And so when the government does that in size, buys back bonds, you all have a lot more cash. There's more cash out there, and so demand for money goes down, interest rates go down, and vice versa when interest rates go up. So who owns America's debts? There's got to be somebody that doesn't have debt themselves. Well, a lot of people own America's debt by buying bonds, right, or treasuries. A lot of companies do as well. And so when companies have a lot of cash and they're sitting on their balance sheet, they don't just let it sit in cash because it's not making any money. They buy bonds. Okay? That's what they do. That's why on a balance sheet, a company's assets, sometimes the short-term assets are referred to as cash and short-term investments. They lump it together, okay, because they're so liquid when you buy U.S. Treasury. It's basically like cash. You can get rid of it quickly if you need to. And there's also some countries that don't really have debt, like China, for example. China and America are attached at the hip. Both countries are too big to fail. And so China owns a lot of U.S. debt. They have to. They have no choice. They have to. And China has to support the U.S. economy as well, and vice versa, because America is too big to fail. People don't realize this, but about one third of the revenue on this planet, or one third of the GDP on this planet, close to it, is the United States economy. And 2/3 of America's GDP is consumer spending. That's why the whole world watches the American consumer when it comes to spending. And China is very much reliant on the U.S. consumer. They are. And if China stopped buying U.S. debt, it would be more catastrophic for China, because what happened with Tiananmen Square back in '89 is just the tip of the iceberg. It would be disastrous. And everybody is a journalist now, because everyone has these things too. Unlike CNN, which had a camera back in '89 at Tiananmen Square. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Michael Reynolds wrote, thank you for all you do to help all of us be more informed and successful. And especially thank you for being you. Enjoy your day. Thank you, Michael. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for being you as well. And for all you do for the charity that you started up there in Sonoma. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. Okay. And then Manas wrote, by the way, the background is really awesome. Believe in yourself. Nice theme. Last week it was more distracting. It's awesome. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. And I did get that feedback last week as well. What I did last week was I actually, so I don't know if you guys watched The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, but what Jon Favreau did with The Mandalorian was brilliant. They didn't use green screen for the backdrop. What they used was a projector. Okay. And everything behind them was actually just projected onto a screen. It's amazing. And I do that now as well. And I tried it last week. And it's through something called a short throw projection. Let me show you. It's the newest technology. It's cool. And this is not a production light here, sorry. But up here, this is a projector here. And it's a short throw projector, so that it's 7 inches away from the wall. And let me fire it up actually. And this is going to look ridiculous. I'll fire this up, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. It's going to look absolutely moronic, but screw it. Let's do it, as Sir Richard Branson used to say, right? All right. So if I turn it on, it's on behind me, right? It's crooked, whatever. But basically, it just reflects what I have up top here. And so if I'm showing a presentation, and I'll show you something I'm preparing for the 26th, it's going to look awful here. Yeah. But these here are slides, and it's tilted there as well. These here are slides, but watch this. As I go through the slides here, you can kind of see it. That's Elon Musk there, one of my slides, and I still have to set it up perfectly. And I'd have to turn off all the lights behind me as well for this to work, right? But it's something that's Guy Kawasaki. It's something that I'm experimenting with now as I try to push the goalposts out. But what I did last week, and I made a mistake, was I had videos in the background while I was talking. Once or twice it might work out okay. Let me turn this off. Once or twice it might work out okay, but it's incredibly distracting. And I got a lot of great feedback immediately from my students to tell me that it was incredibly distracting. So I tried doing something different this week. All right, let's go a little yellow there. There we go. All right. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it. All right, next up, Pratik is saying, can you please repeat the name of the website from where you got the music for your trailers? Last time you told me, I forgot. Yeah, my pleasure. So what I do is I subscribe to a service called storyblocks.com. And I get video, audio, and images from here as well. And this way you're protected as well, or indemnified. Right, so if I log in here, let me show you what I got here. I'm not dude, I hate these things. And when CAPTCHA asks me to recognize if there's buses or whatever the hell it is, I can't do it. I just can't. Maybe I'm getting old. But anyway, I go to storyblocks.com. And what you can do is you can get, again, video, audio, and images from here. And so when you do audio, what you can do is you can actually search for, you can search for certain instruments or certain themes. I usually like cinematic here, and then you can always sample them here as well. And when you download audio, always download the WAV version. Never download MP3 if you're given both, because MP3 is compressed. It's a smaller file. Download the WAV files instead. Yeah. Okay. But you can get a lot of royalty-free music as well for YouTube. Just do a search online. You'll find it. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Manas said, how is the Chris Haroun TV channel coming? Any development about the studio? Yeah, so I'm working on it now. So the next step, what I'm doing right now is right here. You can see this is DMX lighting, which means you can control all this stuff. And the brilliance of lights is that what happened in the 1980s with concerts and everything, the lighting industry got together and said, it's so ridiculous how many cables we have. Why don't we just connect them all together? You can daisy chain them together. And so I have all these lights here daisy chained together. And when they're all connected to each other, they all talk to each other. So that when I push a pedal here or whatever it is, I could change the color in the background. They're all DMX. And the next step in what I'm doing is moving lights as well. And the reason is because, as you mentioned, I am setting up a television station as well, so to speak. Anybody can do it if you have YouTube, right? And I'm trying to take on places like the John Oliver Show or whatever it is. He's great by being an army of one and controlling all this stuff myself. Yeah. So we're getting there. Every week we're making small progress, but it's been a lot of fun. I got a long way to go though. Long way to go. Yeah. All right. Rose, who's one of my wonderful graduates from my MBA program last year, and she actually let me show you what Rose made. Damn it, I think I left in the other room. She made a great yearbook for the first year class, the MBA class. Yeah, and Rose, thank you for that degree thing email. I'll respond soon. I think it was beautiful. Thanks. But Rose wrote, you really catfished that scammer. Yeah, earlier at the beginning of this call, somebody asked about that dude that was pretending to be me and scam people and how I caught him and what I did. Yeah. All right. And Pratik is writing here. Have a nice week, Chris. Likewise. I'll have to go now because I have an exam tomorrow. Thanks for answering my question. You're most welcome, and best of luck on the exam and enjoy it. Okay. And Manas says, I have a really important question. Sure. If you have an opportunity of taking debt of $1 million, would you take that? What are your thoughts on debt and debt making people fortunes? Yeah. I don't like debt. I think the only debt that people should have is debt when it comes to your mortgage on your house or your apartment, which is probably the best investment you'll ever make. Instead of wasting money every month on rent, I had to wait until my 30s before I could buy my first place in New York when I lived there. But it's never too late to start saving for that. Yeah, I don't like debt at all, though, when it comes to companies, because what happens is banks are chicken. And if you're a little bit late with one payment, they can take everything. Versus raising money from high net worth individuals or venture capitalists. They're much more patient, and they can't come after you as much, or the company as much. But in all cases, what you have to do is please, I'm going to get down on my knees. This is how much I believe in this. Now I look like my kid when they do calls with me and stuff. Please register your company name. Get a lawyer to register your company so that people can't come after you. And I growing up in Mississauga, in Canada, our next door neighbors, it was the early 80s when times were tough and the government raised interest rates a lot. It was this great Portuguese family. They owned a couple of bakeries, and I used to work there in the summers sometimes with them. It was fun. But they took on too much debt. And what happened was I came home one day, and my buddy Paul and Dean, they were both sitting there on the front steps, and it was cold, and they had short sleeves on. I was like, dude, why don't you go in your house? And they're like, we can't. We don't know what's happening. And so I went over to look, and I looked at the front door, and there was this piece of paper taped on it with a sheriff's star, and the police had taken the house away, and the bank as well, and they changed the locks. And so It was tragic. It was tragic. And that's why I want you to register your company name so that if something goes wrong, as long as it's not fraudulent or criminal, but if something goes wrong and somebody comes after you, they can't take your house or your children or your family's stuff as well. Yeah. Always do that, please. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't like that at all when it comes to, And there's enough very wealthy people out there that will invest in your business if you're aggressive enough and look for them. Yeah. Okay. Next up, the Hung Lee is saying, "Hey, Chris, funny how you mentioned that Nintendo may follow Disney in the theme parks area. As 2 years ago, my girlfriend and I participated in the street go-kart tour in Tokyo, real life Mario Kart. Oh, dude, that is awesome. That is awesome. And I bought Dylan, my youngest son, for Christmas. I bought him the and maybe me a Mario Kart thing, that virtual game thing. And all he does with it is he uses it to chase the cat around the house." Yeah, but the new Mario Nintendo theme park looks really good, man. Looks a lot of fun. Yeah, looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, very CapEx intensive though. Yeah. And Harsh is asking, what about Three Idiots? And Kevin Patel, who's a graduate from my MBA program, asked me about that too many times. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't had time. I was trying to figure out all this DMX lighting fun stuff here. I will watch the movie. Many of my students say you got to watch it. It's life-changing. I'll check it out, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Three Idiots. Yeah. Which reminds me of the Three Amigos. I'm dating myself. Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, somebody else. Martin Short. Yeah. All right. Manas wrote, "Thanks for everything, my mentor. God bless you and your family. And believe it or not, the 10-time roadmap works. Ask me anything. That is, I'm connected with you on social media. My pleasure. And just share whatever questions you have here, please, or advice for me, or whatever it is. I don't have the bandwidth. I'm so sorry to get every message, but just let me know here, and I'm happy to help you. And thank you." Okay. Michael Jordan Elcock, how are you? Michael Jordan was a graduate from my MBA program last year. He took it. He's in Trinidad, and he and his lovely wife Rosemary were on the graduation call, and it was nice. And thank you, Michael. I never got to thank you in person for that donation to Project Magoo as well. God bless you for that, and I hope you're doing well. But Michael wrote here, "Hello, Chris. I trust that you, Christine, Matthew, Andrew, and Dylan are all safe and well. Thank you. And God bless you and Rosemary as well. And I hope you guys are safe and well as well. Thank you. I miss you." Yeah. All right. Next up, Mehdi wrote here, "What are the skills required to run a successful hedge fund?" Yeah. So, well, first of all, you have to be a great salesperson because you have to be able to raise a lot of money. And it is really distracting. And so if you can, and I always tell people that start companies, raise as much money as you can when you can, because the whole process of raising money every year to do an A, B, C, D round, whatever it is in venture capital, or every year in a hedge fund industry, it's so distracting. It's so distracting. And a lot of people fail in businesses they start because of capital raising and how much of a distraction it is. So a lot of people that work in big companies, what they do is they think to themselves, "Gosh, I'm really underpaid here. I'm doing skill X and I'm making this schmuck a lot of money, and I want to make that money." And what they do is they start their own company doing skill X, and they fail to realize how long it takes and how much of a time suck and distraction it is to raise money. And how much of a distraction it is to manage people, and how much of a distraction it is to sell, market operations, etc., when all they want to do is skill X. And that's why I really believe that failing to plan is planning to fail, and that you can't start a company unless you write a business plan first, right? So, and I actually, if you're curious about business plans, I have a course called the Complete Business Plan course you can get here, learn.harounventures.com. Or better yet, I have a much better version, enhanced version, as part of what I call Venture Capital Bootcamp, which is part of my MBA degree program in the Entrepreneurship track. And I'll show you really quickly what that entails. Short video here. And so in addition to creating a business plan for starting a company, something else we need to do is we need to always be incredibly unemotional. I find that some of the most successful people that manage hedge funds or startups or companies in general are highly unemotional. They can turn their emotions on and off as quickly as they want to. Don't become a victim of your emotions. Try to turn your emotions off completely when it comes to business and stocks and investing. Otherwise, what happens is you sell stocks at the worst time, or you make poor business decisions because you're emotional. And so just try to keep your emotions in check. And that will ensure that you're a much more successful investor in the long run, and entrepreneur as well. Okay. Okay. Next question is from Vendel, who's saying, what do you think are the most efficient ways to network? Yeah. So I really do believe that LinkedIn is the best way as of now. It's free to use. And every single email that you and everybody on this call has ever received, you've opened and read it. I know that for a fact. However, every email you've received, there's no way you've opened them all, right? And so LinkedIn is a great way to connect with people, and people read all emails. And in order to learn how to network much better using LinkedIn, what you can do is I have a course called the Complete Job Course, which you can access right here. And I also teach about networking in much more detail in my MBA degree program as well. And so I'll give you a little a snapshot of that. It's in the personal growth portion of my MBA degree program. Now, business schools, they teach some of the stuff I teach you, but they don't teach you about personal growth. They don't teach you how to get a job, or how to interview, or how to network, or how to be much more productive and happy in your business and personal life as well. My program does that. Here's a very short video that shows you this. Big shout out to Matt Lacuse, who's my incredible chief creative officer and my only partner in my company, for creating those amazing videos. And I'd love for all of you to join me on March 26th, because on March 26th, what I'm doing is I'm doing a webinar where I talk a lot about the MBA program, and I'm going to be offering at a certain price as well. And actually, prices are going to be going up quite a bit soon as well. But if you want to join us, what you can do is you go to my website, harounventures.com. And then click here to join the live class. There's free prizes and much more stuff. You guys will enjoy it. And that's what I'm preparing for here. That's why the backdrop looks quite different. I'm trying to do something incredibly innovative. There's going to be smoke. There's going to be props. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff. Look who you're talking to. But I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah. And the great thing about my MBA program and all of my courses is there's a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. You can even binge watch my MBA program or my courses, and then just get your money back within 30 days. Some people do it. If you want, you can do it by going to this web address here. Okay. All right, let me get rid of my propaganda. Okay. Okay. This is fun, though. All right, next up. Okay. Jacob's been a while, man. Jacob is saying, hey, Chris, can the kids cook yet? And what's your favorite kids recipe? Yeah, my kids do a bit, but you know what I do is I make sure there's always a fire extinguisher in the kitchen for them, just in case. Yeah, but what my son does, he loves a cup of noodle. And for anybody that's got a Keurig machine or, for coffee, whatever, Get your kids to use that for cup of noodles, just for the hot water part. It just saves them time. Yeah. There's. But my kid's favorite recipe, what I do sometimes is I get hot dogs, and I'll cut up the hot dogs, and then what I'll do is I'll get raw spaghetti when it's hard, and I'll stick it through each little piece of the hot dog, and then I'll throw all that stuff in the pot and I'll boil it, and it looks fun. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, Aaron, how are you? Aaron is saying, hey, Chris, it's been a while. Aaron's one of my wonderful graduates from my MBA degree program. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. I hope you're doing well. God bless you. Yeah. Cool. And then Sabayashi is saying hi. Hey, how are you? Okay. Next up, Arjun is saying, what about the turnaround of AMD? Intel versus AMD, who will be the winner? Yeah. So as I mentioned before, one turnaround works per decade in tech usually. And so AMD is probably that one as well. I know the former CEO quite well. We sat in a board together in one of my personal investments years ago. Good guy. But what AMD did was they had an acquisition stage or phase for a while, which worried a lot of investors. But it was a brilliant move. They bought a great Canadian graphic chips company called ATI to go head to head with Intel. Because Intel for years, Intel made the processor or the brain of the computer. And Intel wanted to get in the graphics market, but they couldn't buy NVIDIA because antitrust wouldn't like it. And then Intel stumbled, and the former CFO became the CEO, which was the wrong decision. And then what happened? And what happened was they lost a lot of share to AMD as well as to ARM, which is a British-based mobile chip company, and then NVIDIA. I can't believe NVIDIA's market cap is now bigger than Intel. Unbelievable. I never thought I would have seen that. Yeah, but the founders of Intel are no longer running the company, and the founder of NVIDIA is still running his company. Yeah. So once Andy Grove left the company, I kind of felt the company sort of went into secular decline, which is typical. Yeah. But it's funny when you mention AMD versus Intel. My kids, they love AMD because they always talk about the Ryzen graphic chipset. But yeah. In terms of who will win longer term, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't. All right. Next up, Gregory is saying there's a decline in the amount of publicly traded companies, fewer IPOs, reduced quantity of microcaps, more options for funding companies. Does this affect investor strategy? Yeah. I don't think so. I still believe that doing very rigorous and detail-oriented bottoms-up research will lead to alpha generation, meaning you can beat the market. And I provide all my students with a ton of arrows in their arsenal or tools in their toolbox, so to speak, so that they can understand how to invest in any type of company in my MBA degree program. Yeah. So yeah, there might be fewer IPOs, but people are still going public. Companies are still going public other ways, not only through investment banks, but direct listings. Yeah. So, all right. Hey, Christina. Oh, Christina's one of my wonderful MBA students, and we always compete when it comes to water. Right now, Christina, I have to be honest, it's terrible, but I'm at the just after 9 a.m. It's after 10. I'm supposed to be at the 10 a.m. water line here. So I'm sure you're already there. You keep me on my toes, which is awesome. Thank you. Everybody try this. You have to buy this $15 thing I got on Amazon, whatever. But just try to drink a lot of water every day, because we are 60% water, and you'll have so much more energy. It's amazing. It's amazing. Another thing I'm doing also for more energy is I'm only standing up. I got rid of my chair in this office. Let me show you this awful side angle. It's not production ready. Kind of messy. But I got rid of my chair in my office because I got complaints from some of my students that were people, mean complaints, that were saying, Chris, you sound tired. So no more chair ever. The good thing about doing these YouTube calls, you get immediate feedback as well. So, so Christina's saying, cheers, Chris. I'm at the 10 a.m. water line. You? And then you wrote, great, got your new background screen for your short throw projector and believe in yourself sign. Thank you. Yeah. So I've got this here. And the reason it's off to the side here is because there's a wire that I tried to hide right by the F here. And I don't have the new screen yet. It comes on Wednesday. It's going to be dark gray. And it's designed such a way so that it only absorbs light that's shown right at it, right? Not ambient light as well. So it looks a lot better. And my goal is for the background to look so damn real, along with my DMX lighting, meaning I could change it on the fly, that no one's going to know. Like I'll have the lighting perfect, and I got a long way to go, and I'll make every mistake there is to make, please. But I'll get there eventually, especially with the help of my chief creative officer, Matt Lacousse, who's my brother. All right. And then Michael wrote, hey, Chris, I love the t-shirt. It looks great. Thank you. First time I wore it. Yeah. The quality is not that great. So I have merch on YouTube. Don't buy this shirt, anybody. The quality is not that great. It looks good, but it's kind of cheap. Yeah. And I thought that it should be a little bit higher up. Like that kind of feels a bit right. But anyway. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. And then Aaron said, what are your thoughts on the future of the insurance industry amidst COVID and what could drive success? Yeah. So the insurance industry will always be very, very successful because most people don't ever need to cash in their claim, so to speak. And that's why Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway, his mutual fund, so to speak, pardon me, 28% of his investment portfolio is in insurance companies. You know, like Geico. He's been in Geico since the 50s or the 60s. And one of the reasons Warren Buffett is so successful is because of these investments in insurance companies, public and private ones. They throw off a lot of cash because most people don't cash in, right? Most people don't need to use their insurance. And since they throw off a lot of cash, Warren Buffett was able to use that excess cash to invest in other companies, right? Yeah. So the insurance industry will always be incredibly successful. And when natural disasters happen, you think that insurance companies are screwed. They're going to lose a lot of money because people are going to cash in. Not at all. The opposite, actually. When a natural disaster occurs, insurance companies, they get a lot more business because during and after the natural disaster, more people sign up for premiums. Yeah. Or insurance policies. Yeah. So I'm bullish on the industry longer term. It does need to be somewhat disrupted. It seems like it's been dominated by just a handful of companies, like State Farm, Allstate, etc. So yeah, but there will be some company online that will disintermediate it somehow. Yeah. Okay. And next up, Fabio. Fabio is another one of my wonderful students in my MBA program. Fabio wrote, "Hi, Prof. I hope you're doing great. I'm always great. Thank you. Did you have the chance to read Bill Gates' last book on climate change? I find it very informative. I didn't, but I subscribe to the Gates Notes. So it's what he releases every month or so. And so I do read the summaries of his stuff. Thank you. Yeah. But I met him a couple times actually. Yeah. One was at a book signing. Yeah. The other time I was an investor. My favorite book of his was The Road Ahead. Yeah. Which Annie Leibovitz did a great job with the cover photo as well. I met Annie actually just around the corner at a charity event not too long ago. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Eric, how are you? Eric is one of my amazing students from last year's MBA program. He graduated last year. He wrote, I can most certainly advise to join the MBA program. I completed it in the first year. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. Yeah. And then Eric wrote a great book called Ego Trip. You guys should search for online and buy it. It's great. He was the first student of mine in the MBA program to publish a book. And I remember we started December 2nd of 2019. And he set a 1-month goal of publishing it. And by January 2nd, I think it was, of 2020, you published your book, which again, I have. Great job. And anybody can publish a book. All you need to do is download my template. I don't ask for your email address or anything. So all you do is go to harounventures.com /template, all lowercase. Yeah. And then what you do is, actually, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Write book. So harounventures.com/write book, all lowercase. And you click here and you download a book template, and anybody can write it. And imagine going to a job interview or an informational meeting and giving somebody a book that you wrote. Who does that? Nobody does that. You got to ask yourself, how badly do you want that job? Yeah. Great to see you, Eric. Great to see you. Yeah. And the problem with, and again, so Eric published his book in January. It was one of his New Year's goals of 2020. And the problem with New Year's resolutions is that 90% of people give up on them by the third week of January. Why? Because they don't set a deadline date. You got to set a date for all your goals. Otherwise, they're just dreams. Another thing you have to do is you have to vocalize your goals. Tell everybody about it, because that will put pressure on you in a good way to get it done. Like when I wrote my first book, 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach You in Business School years ago, I was writing it for years. I was procrastinating, whatever. And my parents, my friends, I told them I was writing a book, and they're like, every time I saw them, they're like, how's the book going? I was like, oh God, I got to finish that. But because I vocalized that goal, I eventually got it done. But I should have said deadline date. Okay. All right. All right, and let me scroll down here. Hold on a second. Okay, and then China's asking me, is XRP a good crypto? Meaning Ripple. Yeah. I never tell people what to buy or sell. I humbly believe that my role as a teacher is to teach people how to fish instead of giving you a fish. That way you can eat for a lifetime, right? And so my complete cryptocurrency course, which you can access right here, I provide you with a 49-step investment framework for picking cryptocurrencies. And in my MBA degree program, I go into much more detail, and it's much more up-to-date as well. And if you want to learn more about my MBA program and join us actually on our webinar, go to harounventures.com, okay? And then click here to reserve your spot. There's free prizes and free courses and stuff as well. You guys will enjoy this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then Pearl wrote, hi, Chris, thanks for the advice on cryptos. You're most welcome. Most welcome. All right. And then Eric, who graduated last year, my program, wrote, hey, Chris, great backdrop. I didn't believe they have 3 E's. Enjoy, empathy, and energetic. It's different, eh? Like, so what I did, Eric, was these are DMX lights. And so in track pants here, I'm keeping it real. And this is not a production light here at all. But I click these buttons here, and it changes the light behind me. And these lights are up here. And these are just DJ lights, the cheapest DJ lights you can buy, actually. And let me see if I can change this a bit here. There we go. It's better. All right. Yeah. And again, this is not a production camera. It's just side angle here, but behind the scenes. Yeah. And so, yeah, and I have this, and the frames rate is not matching the other cameras here as well. But I bought this, and this is just, I bought it on Etsy.com. Yeah. But, trying to mix it up a bit here, and the frame rate matches here, which is 60 frames per second for this light. Yeah. But I'm having fun, man. I'm having fun. And I'm going to have moving lights as well. And I bought a bunch of moving lights, and I beta tested it with with some of my students. And Christina told me that you could hear it in the background. She was right. So I returned them on Amazon. And I have new lights that are coming soon that are moving as well. And so all this stuff is daisy chained together, all my lights, through what is called DMX. And it's awesome. And I have a smoke machine coming as well, which I'm going to use to start a fire in here. Yes. On March 26th. Yeah. And you guys can all go to harounventures.com to sign up for the March 26th event, if you want to. Yeah. All right. Next question is from somebody named Lights Arena. I hope you're doing well. Prophetic. We were just talking about lights. Lights Arena wrote, how do I fall within government regulations of building a decentralized ecosystem? You have to give me a little bit more information on that, please. If you're talking about DeFi or decentralized finance, that's one thing. If you're trying to create your own blockchain, it's another thing. And in some countries, it's something just fell there. Wow. So in some countries, it's actually illegal to transact in cryptocurrencies. What just fell, by the way, is this. So this here is called cinefoil. It's like tinfoil. Or aluminium foil, as they call it in the United Kingdom. And this here is just to block lights, right? So if you have one light that's spilling into the backdrop, like I have one here, you put this on it as well. Yeah, cinefoil. Yeah. Okay. See all the mistakes I make? All right. Next question is, do hedge funds pay out ROI monthly, meaning return on investment monthly? No. So the way that works at hedge funds, if you're an investor in a hedge fund, is they never pay out unless you take your money out, right? And so it depends when you cash out, so to speak. And the business model for hedge funds is 2 and 20. And what does that mean? Well, similar to venture capital and private equity firms, hedge funds, they make money in two ways. One way is they charge an annual management fee of 2% to keep the lights on, et cetera. And so if you invest $100 in a hedge fund, $2 every year goes to pay for salaries, lights, etc. And then there's something called the incentive, right? Which is 20% usually, meaning if you make money, 20% of that goes to the hedge fund. So if you invest $100 and it doubles to $200, right? Instead of getting $100 back, you get 80% of that. They keep 20%, right? Plus the management fee as well that they charge. And if a hedge fund loses money 1 year, they got to make that money back before they can charge an incentive fee. That's called a high water mark. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Eric is saying, Chris, I noticed that now the MBA classes are over. It is, and Eric graduated last year, that it's so much harder to follow up on plans. I'm missing our vibrant community and peer motivation. Any thoughts? Yeah. So what I would do is I would keep using Slack. And so Slack is available now for all students. So anybody that signs up for my MBA program for the on-demand version, and you can go to this web address here to do it, you'll see in the first lesson is a Slack channel that you can connect with others. And people are very active on this, much more active than I thought they would be. And so what you can do is you can get a couple of buddies and just do a monthly call with them just to share your goals. And they can ask you how are you doing with your goals. For example, Christina, who's in my current MBA class, she puts me on the spot when it comes to water because I need this to survive. It's my biggest health issue, which is fine. But it's kind of like a buddy system like that. So find a buddy using Slack and just check in with them once a month or so. Yeah. All right. Oh, and Eric, what I would also do is make sure that you complete the daily scheduler, the daily planner, right? Which I talked about in the very first lesson, which is the orientation lesson. And so the personal schedule thing you can download, do that every weekday. I promise you it helps. It helps a lot. Don't do it on weekends. You'll drive yourself crazy. But if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person, which is you, if you write down your schedule daily. Yeah. And for those of you curious about what the schedule entails, I have a non-premium version, a really basic version as well you can download if you want to. You go to harounventures.com. harounventures.com/schedule, all lowercase. And then what you can do is you can download my daily scheduler here. Again, in the MBA program, it's much more elaborate and in different file formats as well. If you want to get something done, give it to a busy person yourself. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. And then Eric wrote amazing videos. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. And that was Matt Lacuse, actually, that did a great job with that. Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. No, he's great. He's great. And what I'll do here is I'm going to show you the sales, marketing, and communications video. There's 5 components. This is the last one I'll show today. And I'm going to take a quick break. This is 1 minute long, but this will show you just samples of what you'll learn or have learned in the sales, marketing, and communication track within the program. Thanks. Okay, next up, I got a question here or a comment from Eric, who's saying that the Tony Robbins headset mic is certainly very effective. It's been good. So this is what Eric's referring to is I use a headset here made by a company called Countryman. And you can get it in different colors to match your skin color as well. And this is the one that Tony Robbins, I met Tony before, and he invested in one of my companies, actually, nice guy. When I shook his hand wrapped around my hand like 10 times. Amazing. He is the real deal. But he uses this as well. Obviously, he's way more successful than I'll ever be, and I wouldn't be who I am today without his help. But this is the one he uses. And one problem I have with it is that sometimes my S's sound more pronounced. And so I'm putting in a de-esser software product as part of Wirecast here. And I use a different plug at the front of it here. So hopefully it's a little bit less pronounced. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. And Arjun wrote here, thank you, Chris. Great years ahead. You're most welcome. Thank you. Okay. And then Mina, who's a computer enthusiast and a rock star video game programmer, and she's creating her own game. She's in the MBA program as well, and I can't wait to play it. She wrote, I love AMD as well. After 2013, they've been on a roll. Yes, they have. I still can't believe NVIDIA's market cap passed Intel. Amazing. I never thought I'd see that. Yeah. Years ago, Intel wanted to buy them, but they didn't because of antitrust reasons. Yeah. Okay. And then Mark Fernandez, usually go by Mark 18, right? So Mark lives in Texas. He graduated from my MBA program last year. Great guy. He said, I dropped in to say hello. I hope you're doing well, man. Lots of love. Okay. Next up, Hari is saying, Chris, what do you think about earning through data mining? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I think about the consulting industry in general, what the consulting industry does is they're very, very analytical from a data perspective. And so they profit more so from data mining than any sector. And I was an investor on the board years ago of this company, temporarily on this company called Quid. And so Quid, their biggest... Yeah, and they just merged with NetBase, I think. Yeah. But what they do is their biggest customers are McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, Bain, etc. But what they do is they mine a lot of data using their product. Okay, and they have these 3D based algorithms. And let me see if I can show you actually. Quid Pro, such a cool name. Quid Pro Quo. Yeah. So what they do is they use 3D models to analyze big data sets. And people don't realize that consulting firms, it's not just about qualitative stuff like using frameworks like the SWOT analysis or the Porter 5 Forces. There's a hell of a lot of data involved because you can't make an informed business decision without data to back it up. It can't just be qualitative straight from the gut. So when it comes to data mining, I think consulting firms have and will continue to profit immensely from mining data, looking for patterns, etc., when they advise or help their clients change to be more successful. And that was our motto when I worked at Accenture, years ago. We help our clients change to be more successful. Okay. All right. And Hari wrote here, what is your opinion about management and strategy consultant lifestyles? I feel they glamorize overworking and compensate health with their pay. Yeah. It's rough. I don't recommend anybody work in the consulting industry if you have kids. Why? Because the way that consultants work, it's like they have an army of consultants in that when there's a war to fight, a battle, they travel to there, meaning a client, for example. And so there's a lot of travel involved. And sometimes it's out of your control where you're going to be placed by the consulting firm. Quite often they send you out of town. And firms like McKinsey, what they try to do in order to reestablish the corporate culture and have a good family life balance is at McKinsey, they have a policy where everybody has to be in the home office every Friday. If you're not way overseas, right? Traveling. And so it's better for work-life family balance and corporate culture if you're in the office at least one day a week. It's kind of antiquated now because of COVID, right? People are working remotely. I don't think people are going to need offices in the future either. It's such a waste of time. It's good to meet every now and then and grip and grin or whatever it is. I hate politics, clearly. But I don't think you have to have offices for everybody. Yeah. And I think with consulting longer term, people are going to be working remotely. And we've all proven, all of us collectively, the human race has proven that over the past year, as tough as it's been, we can be effective and work remotely. It's harder. It's not perfect for everybody in every industry, but it's doable. And so I think we've witnessed the death of distance, so to speak, over the past year. And I think looking back on how COVID has impacted all of us, we can do a lot more with a lot less by working remotely. Yeah. But when it comes to consulting in general, I despise when it's kind of like investment banking, working 100 hours a week. And what's fun about that? And people do it to make, because they say, I'm going to make a fortune working in this industry. But you know what? You make just as much as your buddies do in other industries on an hourly basis. And the problem is that it's a young person's game too. You do it before you burn out when you're younger and before you have family, family first. You won't see your kids that much. And when your kids see an airplane in the sky, they'll say, oh, look, Daddy. Yeah. So if you do consulting, do it early in your career. Right. But when you start your family, pull the ripcord. Yeah. And a lot of people go into the consulting industry because they don't know what they want to do with their career. And it makes sense early on. Like if you're not sure what to do with your career, maybe you want to start in what's called an origination job. And I'll give you a couple examples. But if you originate a product and you hate making the product, well, because you made it, you can sell it, market it, trade it, manage it. I'll give you examples if you're confused what to do. So an example of origination job is consulting. You create the corporate strategy for a company. If you hate it, well, you understand the corporate strategy. You can sell it, market it, manage it, etc. Same thing with finance. If you're not sure what to do, some people go into investment banking. You create the IPO or M&A product. If you hate that, well, you can move on to do something else within finance, maybe market the product, trade the product, manage people that work on the product, etc. Last example of origination is technology, programming. So at Google, for example, it's you're king of the hill or queen of the hill at Google if you're a programmer. There's programmers than everyone else, right? It is what it is there. But if you create the product, you're an engineer, and you program and you hate it, well, that's okay. You know how to make the product. So you can move on to a different role, selling the product, marketing the product, manage people that work at the product, that sort of thing. So the bottom line there is, if you're not sure what to do career-wise, start off in an origination role, and then you can move on to selling that product, etc. Because it's always, in Silicon Valley, we always say it's easier for an engineer to become a finance person than it is for a finance person to learn engineering. Yeah, origination. Okay. Okay, next up, next question is, how can I build a venture capital company? Yeah. So I would say get a lot of experience first. It's easier to raise money for any type of startup you have if you have experience in that area. Yeah. And also talk to a lawyer, obviously, whenever it comes to anything negotiation based where you're trying to raise money. It'll protect you and your family and them as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, are private equity firms required to register with the SEC? I'm not sure. I remember when I started my hedge fund, I had to register with FINRA. Yeah. So yeah. So I don't think so, actually. I think the more regulated markets on that side are the sell side firms, etc. Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot of exams you have to take, and talk to a security lawyer first. The law firm I hired was called the Securities Law Group here in San Francisco, and the partner of the firm I dealt with was a wonderful man named Jim Grant, and he helped me out, and he also connected me with FINRA, which is a government agency in the U.S., where I had to write a lot of exams like the Series 63, etc. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Mr. Hassan is saying, why is the traditional MBA school have those flashy, creepy promotional videos with students and alumni, but the engineering schools don't? Yeah. Yeah. So I think people realize that in business, relationships are more important than product knowledge, right? And so the essence of business is sales and networking. And a great CEO and a great entrepreneur have one thing in common, which is they can sell and they can network a lot. Your network is your net worth. That's a little bit less important when it comes to engineering in general. Yeah. Okay, next question is, are network marketing companies required to register with the SEC? Not to my knowledge, yeah. I'm not a lawyer, so if you have legal questions, maybe go to LegalZoom.com. I'm not affiliated with them or anybody. I'll never sell out. And I get a lot of offers, actually, to promote stuff, and I'll never do that. I've turned in a lot of lucrative ones, too. Okay. All right, next up, Eric is saying, Eric says, thanks, I'll be more on Slack and use my planner more. Yeah. Yeah, it's great to see you, man. Great to see you. I hope you join us again, man. I missed you. Yeah. All right, next up, I've got somebody by the name, all in caps, of FYP NLP. Neuro-linguistic programming, maybe? Okay. So an FYP NLP wrote, I just want to say thank you so much for the crypto course. I wonder if you will do a section on decentralized finance and how to research it. Jacqueline. Thank you. My mom's name is Jacqueline. Yeah. And her friends call her Jackie and Jack. And they can't, on an airplane, they can't say hi, Jack. To her. Dad. Dude, I've gone 2.5 hours without one dad joke. But yeah, so Jacqueline, nice to see you. Yeah. In terms of a section on DeFi, I'll look into it. Yeah. But in my MBA degree program, I'm always adding a lot more content as well. So it's always up to date. And you can learn more about the MBA degree program here. There's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So you can binge watch the whole thing in 30 days, get your money back. Yeah. All right. Okay, next question is, how does a wealth management company work? Yeah. So wealth management, or PWM as they call it, or private wealth management, PWM, the way it works is it's one of the only jobs in finance where you can move from company to company and bring your clients with you. It happens all the time. So people that work at Goldman Sachs in wealth management, they can move on to Bank of America, and then they can move on a year or two later to Wells Fargo. And what happens, they bring all their clients with them. And the way it works is this. the amount of money that they manage with high net worth investors, right? For every dollar they raise, usually they get a 1% fee yearly on that. Okay, so if you have a client that gives you $100 million to invest, you get $1 million every year from that, right? And so the whole asset gathering process is it's a land grab, like lassos. You want to get as much assets as you can because you charge on an annual basis 1%. Now, the wealth management firms that I would stay away from are the ones where they have to sell products from the bank or firm they work at, right? And so they're biased, and that happens with a lot of big wealth management firms. The best ones are the ones that are independent. They can pitch any products they want to you. And so with very, very wealthy people, they're interested in capital preservation first. Okay, they made their money. They want to preserve it and then generate positive return second. And that's why a lot of wealth management firms don't have to beat the markets by a lot every year in order to be successful. They have to protect capital. It's kind of like a hedge fund. Hedge funds are called hedge funds because if you think of your backyard, in your backyard, you have a hedge around your backyard that protects your backyard. That's what wealthy people think of when it comes to investing in hedge funds. They just want to preserve the money they've made. So when the market's down a lot, they don't lose as much. And when the market's up a ton, they sometimes don't make as much, but they're protected, so to speak. And so the bottom line is the best private wealth management operations are the ones that can not only preserve capital, but also sell you any products they want to without being biased by the firm they work at. Next question is, can somebody create a cryptocurrency hedge fund? Yeah, I mean, anybody can do it. As long as the country you live in allows you to transact in cryptocurrencies. If it's illegal, obviously you can't do it. Before ever taking money from any investor, though, what you have to do is get a lawyer involved to first of all, incorporate your company. And secondly, create an investor offering memorandum so that people can read what they're investing in. And third, a lawyer has to create what are called subscription documents. And some people call it subdocs. And by law, in many countries, you're not allowed to invest in a hedge fund unless you have a liquid net worth of over $1 million. And when you complete the subdocs or subscription documents, basically the way you answer those questions will determine if you're allowed to invest in that hedge fund. And as part of the subscription documents, at least here in the United States, post 9/11, post the Patriot Act, there's AML laws as well. You have to answer questions. AML means anti-money laundering as well. Yeah. All right. And Raphael, hey Raphael, how are you, man? And Raphael's my MBA class this year. And we had another Raphael graduate last year. Great guy. He started a great company called Doc Formative. And let me show you the company he started, actually. I missed that guy. Yeah. So it's called Doc Formative. Here it is here. And Raphael's done quite well with it. And he's networked a lot as well. This is his company he started. He and his buddy. He lives part of the year in Boca Raton and part of the year in New Jersey. Yeah. I'll show you what he looks like. He's a good guy. I'll show you the other Raph. This is him here. Great guy. I miss you, Raph. Yeah. All right. And then Raphael, another Raphael from this year's MBA program is saying, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm always great. Thank you. And you wrote, is Lagarde from Europe the equivalent of Jerome Powell here in the United States? Let me see, actually. Hold on a second. That's Colin Powell's son, too, I think, right? Yeah. And Colin Powell wrote a speech for Ronald Reagan. Remember when Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall? Which kind of ended communism, and the Berlin Wall came down. That was off script when Ronald Reagan said it, and Colin Powell, who was a speechwriter at the time, was furious with Reagan. Okay, that's me buying time. Okay, what am I doing again? All right, you want me to look Jerome Powell? Okay. Yeah. So he is the head of the Federal Reserve. And he's the guy that sets interest rates. But you're asking me to say it's the same person as Lagarde. Lagarde. I think it is. European Central Bank. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the way it works is this. Yes. And I had to look that up to be completely intellectually honest. So Jerome Powell, which we all know, he basically he is the store manager in America for money. So he decides if interest rates go up or down, or one of the people, that's part of the Federal Reserve, or FOMC, when they do Federal Open Market Committee meetings. And now the equivalent in Europe is Lagarde, Christine Lagarde, okay, the European Central Bank. So, yeah. And in other countries, it's called the Bank of whatever. Like in Canada, it's called the Bank of Canada. In England, which is not part of the EU for that, it's called the Bank of England. Yeah. And in some countries like Japan, it's called the Minister of Finance, the MOF. Yeah. Gosh, I had to look that up. Frederick is saying, hello, everybody. Hey, Fred. Hope you're doing well. Fred's in my MBA program as well. And then next up, Hari is saying, thank you so much, Chris. I loved your answers. My pleasure. And thank you for asking them. I hope to see you one day very soon, and thank my mentor personally. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. All right. And then Cole is saying, hey, Chris, would you ever consider having a summer semester of your program with live classes? Yeah. I get questions about that every now and then. My marketing team, and what I do with my sales and marketing team is I outsource everything pretty much, right? I try to focus on one thing only, which is creating content for my students and teaching as well. Everything else is a waste of time. I want to outsource everything else. But my sales and marketing team, what I do is I pay them 20% of every dollar that, students pay for courses and stuff. Of course, they're financially incentive and they're great. But they talked about doing multiple MBA programs throughout the year. It's something we thought about, but I don't think right now. Not yet. Yeah. And I still get calls from a lot of the universities I taught at in the Bay Area to come back and teach, but I won't do it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. So I am going to wrap up this call now. So if you subscribe to my daily vlog on YouTube, I release a vlog every day at 9 a.m. If you don't subscribe, it's all good. Have a great weekend. God bless you. And I hope you join us on the 26th of March for my webinar. And what you can do to learn more about the webinar is just go to my website, which is harounventures.com, right here. And you can register here. There's free courses I'm giving away and a lot of other fun stuff. Here are the details on it. And I hope you join us. It'll be a lot of fun. God bless you. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.